Alrighty, so every year for October we do a movie marathon. Usually it's just 30, 31 new horror movies. This year we thought it'd be a little different to try to find a certain genre or theme and go with that. So we stuck with zombie movies just because I've watched zombie movies for so long and I prefer it more than like a slasher and other kinds of stuff. It's just a nice, you can have shitty ones, you can have good ones, and so, maybe next year it'll be found footage, who knows, or certain kinds of monsters, but this year it's zombie movies, and the criteria for it is pretty, I would say, relaxed overall. There's movies like The Crazies that, when you go on Google and it says top 10, top 30 zombie movies, The Crazies is going to be on there, but I don't personally feel like The Crazies is a zombie movie. It's more of a, I don't know, just an infected,
Mass
non,
hysteria.
yeah,
Yeah.
just not. There's a huge difference when you have zombies that can think, use weapons, calculate murders and stuff. That doesn't really scream zombie to me. Now, we have Return of the Living Dead on here, which they kind of are smart and can do stuff, but that movie
There's
is,
like levels to it for sure. Some zombies are like so just like sluggish. It's like their brains don't even work. They're just like bodies moving around. And some of them, it's like they're kind of like waiting and what. So it's like there's levels.
well, in the crazies, it's almost like they can still understand, and they're using
Right.
weapons, locking people in houses, and like setting houses on fire and stuff. So it's like,
It's almost like they're the same people. They just like have their like anger all
yeah,
the
yeah,
way
yeah.
up to like 100.
Which because there's another movie called like the Sadness, I think, which is very similar to the Crazies, and didn't watch it, didn't include it because it felt too not in, just in my opinion, just not a zombie movie, and so we've got a lot of classics on here, a lot of you know different, almost like indie foreign
Right.
ones
New
too.
ones we tried to watch.
Yeah, we honestly had to recap quite a bit because some of these movies, I've watched them once, maybe twice, and it's not even that I remember it being boring. I just can't recall anything about it for whatever reason. I just really didn't feel like rewatching all of them because that's another thing is as much as I like zombie movies, eventually when you start only watching that and you're trying to get, 30 plus movies,
Yeah.
it's so tiring. As we
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
considering we started this like middle of September, and
We were like caught. We were like way ahead of schedule,
yeah,
and then we got behind so quickly.
yeah, way ahead, and then it just kind of got so tiresome to watch it, and so
It is funny that some of these movies, as we were going through it, they like kind of took our energy out of
Yeah.
doing this. And some movies, it's like, oh, let's watch another one.
yeah, it just kind of kills the excitement.
Yeah.
And it could be because a lot of people, I'm sure, when they do let's watch a zombie classic, whatever, they're like, let's only watch the ones we like,
Right.
nothing new or whatever.
Right.
And so we're trying to watch ones we've never seen, and it's like, yikes! A lot of them are derivative, a lot of them suck. They're
Yeah, and there's definitely something to be said about it's. There's a lot of cliches that happen in zombies movies that happen in other types of movies too, but in zombie movies, it's just like it's a lot of the same feelings for.
yeah, all the
different
same
movies.
tropes.
Yeah.
Someone's hiding a bite, or someone goes out getting killed by a bunch of zombies, or it's just
Being trapped and the zombies are all around you.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of just feeling. It's
Yeah.
like
yeah. So instead of just doing kind of like a normal ranking, this is more of a bracket, and because I think one of the years we did a tier list, or is that what we've been doing?
we've been doing a couple. We did a bracket one year. We did a tier list, and then we did one time where we rated them from different
That's right,
things,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
had
yeah.
like a ranking at the end.
That's right, which I think that's what we did last year.
Yeah.
So this year, it's in no particular order. It's just all the movies on our list. It's like in the first example is the Dead Don't Die versus Planet Terror, and this will be round one. And so slowly as we just go through movies, it's gonna be just like a fighter's bracket, less and less versus less and less until there's one winner. So starting out with this one is The Dead Don't Die versus Planet Terror, which Planet Terror came out, I think, over 20 years ago. Planet Terror, I think, was 2003? 4?
Yeah.
It's Grindhouse, you know, so you tend to see it with Death Proof and all that stuff.
Yeah, 2007.
2007. And The Dead Don't Die, I think, was 2019 or 2020.
Dead Don't Die.
I know it was either right before COVID or right after COVID. But two very distinctly different films where I think one tries to be like the other, honestly, and fails miserably. And that's The Dead Don't Die is trying to be like Planet Terror and Shaun of the Dead and just fails miserably because Planet Terror, you know, I mean, I watched that as like a teenager and even obviously rewatched it as an adult, own it. It knows what it's trying to be.
It's fun. It's like
Yeah.
a fun movie.
It's just a fun, dumb
self-aware
zombie movie. There's cringy one-liners and stuff, but it's trying to portray itself as like a cringe 80s like action movie, you know, zombie action movie. So it's just dumb. I mean, you know, they get pretty ultra violent with like the nurse lady. Her son accidentally shoots himself, and she's just like sitting there hugging him. You're like, okay. And you know, the stripper gets a machine gun for her leg, and you're like, it's so out there.
Yeah.
But it's not like they were trying to do that, and then they were like, here's this serious message. But right. No, they were just like, no, this movie's dumb as shit, but it's fun. Here you go.
I will say, just to bring back what you just said about that one scene in Planet Terror, that is the one scene in the movie that I feel like they failed to make something fun. They were like trying to make it funny because they're like, this kid is like an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's actually not funny.
Yeah, they kept showing the kid being stupid, almost like killing himself with like, you know, random objects, or like he just like wouldn't stop touching stuff. Right. And so she's just like, okay, hold on, and it just randomly, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, I didn't like that. That was like the one scene in this movie I thought that was like a tonal shift and didn't
well, they try to be so like serious, sad with it, and you're like, this doesn't fit this movie.
Right, yeah.
Most of this movie is just like dumb, you know, goofy stuff, and then you're like, isn't this sad?
Right.
You should feel this is so horrific. You're like, all right, okay, but you know, it's like satirical.
Yeah.
And it's not trying to be something more than it is. Whereas The Dead Don't Die is trying to be satirical, meta.
Trying to be self-aware.
Yeah, trying to be. It's trying so hard to be a Wes Anderson movie, and it's so frustrating because you can just tell. Which I know Bill Murray's in quite a bit of Wes Anderson stuff, but it's just so annoying when, you know, like they're driving. They do this bit like 3 or 4 times throughout the movie, where they're driving and it plays the theme of the movie.
Right.
And he's like, what is this song? And Adam Driver is like, that's the theme of the movie, and looks at the camera, and you're like, so is this movie trying to be meta? Like,
and it's funny, but it's like they do it too many times to where it's like they're beating it to where it's like not funny anymore.
Well, they try to do awkward, dry humor. I'm like, it just doesn't work. When you have everyone do it, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's so fucking pretentious and annoying. You're like, okay, so Adam Driver is playing like nonchalant young guy.
Right.
Bill Murray plays old nonchalant guy. And then the only one who genuinely shows emotion or anything is the female partner, who's actually like, oh my god, this is gross. Like, oh my god, I'm scared, and it's the zombie outbreak.
Yeah,
and so
she like sees her mom or her grandma, and
yeah. And then you have Tilda Swinton in there as a mortician samurai, and it's just trying so hard to be quirky and unique and different, and you know, woo woo wow, you know. And honestly, I mean, this movie's been out long enough. I don't care if I spoil it, but the ending with the UFO is so stupid.
This movie's trying to do too much, and it suffers.
It's trying to do too much, but it's just like, it doesn't even like. If you told me this was a TV show like Twin Peaks or Twilight Zone, where it's like 3 cops trying to figure out why is all this random stuff happening in their town, zombies, aliens, all kinds of stuff. Sure, that would maybe work. But my God, it just...
They don't, but they not, like, Twin Peaks, they lean into, like, the creepy eeriness. This movie doesn't do that. This movie's, like, dry and awkward, and they try to establish these, like, bizarre characters, bizarre world, but it just falls flat.
Well, and it's just so random. Like, you have Selena Gomez, Austin Butler, and they introduce them as if they're going to be something,
Right, yeah.
and then they're just dead in the next scene. You're like,
Yeah.
why are they even in this movie?
And you could argue that, oh, they're tricking us by, we think these are going to be main characters because they're
Yeah,
A-list stars, and and they're like, oh, now they're dead. I'm like, but you spent so much time.
I know.
With
Yeah,
them.
you spent so
You
much
spent
time, like
time.
giving them literally their own scenes, not even with the cops, and so
they
you're
get
like,
killed off screen.
Yeah.
So it's not even super like impactful.
Yes.
When you find them dead, you're like, oh, so
yeah,
they were
and
just
they have
nobody.
Danny Glover, and he's like a trucker, and you're like, you're doing nothing with him,
Right.
and it's just like
This movie is hard to watch, and I think this is one of the first ones we started with, and I remember we watched this, and I was like, I don't know if I'm being.
Yeah, well, I just kept going, oh my god, how long is this movie?
Right.
It's so...
We kept checking them. How much time is
Yeah,
left?
and
This is
I get the
crazy.
whole, like, it's trying to have a message, and it's trying to be symbolic, and blah, 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 but it's one of those things where I'm like, it's so pretentious.
Yeah.
It's trying so hard to be like, ooh, look what we're doing. And so it's like, no. I
Right.
mean, this one, it's so obvious that I'd pick Planet Terror.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we'll go to the next one. Whoop. There we go. And the next one, again, these are randomized, but kind of a night and day where it's somewhat more easy to guess which one's going to win on this round right here. We have Flight of the Dead versus 28 Days Later.
I really did randomize it. This seems very unfair.
Yeah, very unfair because you have straight to the Walmart bargain bin movie, and you have one of the all-time classic infected zombie movies ever made. 28 Days Later, man.
Say something bad about 28 Days Later. What is something you don't like about it?
Well, there's a part in the movie that's always bugged me, which I kept thinking was an editing mistake.
What?
Maybe it is an editing mistake, but there's a part in the movie where it pans. It's a city panning shot, but in the left upper corner, almost to the middle of the screen, you can see the bottom of like 3 people's chins, and you're like, what the hell? And then as it's panning through the city, that scene drops down. It's like transitioning to the next scene, but I'm like, did you just not edit it correctly? And you had like half an inch of the next scene just like overlaid in on accident.
Right.
It was so weird, and I was like, it's always bugged me with the movie. Like, you telling me, like, I get it, you were doing like guerrilla filmmaking and whatever, but this seems like such an obvious editing mistake. I'm just shocked to see it. And I remember even when I watched it, like, I have it on Blu-ray, but when I watched it on just like a streaming thing, I saw it again. I'm like, that's really odd.
Okay.
But okay,
Let me ask this: did this come out before Walking Dead started? Because the beginning is like Walking
Yeah.
Dead-esque.
Yeah, no, this came out I think in 2003,
Okay.
and
When did Walking Dead
the Walking Dead comic book came out I think in 2007.
Okay, so
2008?
this was first.
I'm sure Robert Kirkman got,
Because that would
it's-
be my only complaint is I didn't watch this until I had watched Walking Dead, and I was like, this is literally what happened
Yeah.
to Rick Grimes.
yeah, no, I mean Walking Dead the TV show came out I think in 2010. The comic book I think was like 2008, and this was like 2002. Or I mean like 2003, 2004. And I swear I've seen something where Robert Kirkman, the creator of Walking Dead, said like, I got inspired by that because it is almost beat for beat the same.
Yeah. But I mean, if that came first, you can't even hold that against.
No,
it, you know?
I'd hold it against The Walking Dead for being like
For sure.
a blatant copy. But yeah, I mean, when I watched 28 Days Later as a kid, or like preteen, whatever, it was just such a, it felt so raw and real. Just the way it's filmed, the film grain, everything looks so real and grimy. There's like no CGI.
Right.
The effects of the infected look real, gross. Everyone acts like believable. It's not like a lot of movies where you're like, that's an actor acting. It genuinely
It's
feels
not
like
caricatures of people.
not really. I mean, it's like they just threw a bunch of. It's almost like how I'd say with Blair Witch Project, where it feels like they made the movie and they basically told all the actors like, improvise your lines, kind of, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone, it really feels like, I mean, just so genuine.
Right.
Doesn't feel fake, and it does the whole humans are the real enemy a lot better than a lot of movies, because you go like, I mean, you could look at it now thinking, oh, okay, maybe they kind of copied Day of the Dead, because Day of the Dead was in the 80s,
Right.
and it kind of has a similar vibe. They go to a military base underground for help, and it turns out the military base people are like psychotic.
Yeah. That
And-
is an interesting movie.
Yeah. And so it kind of makes sense how in this movie, the first half, you're like, oh my God, zombies, oh my God. And then by the end, there's like this, again, when he frees the infected, and he's almost working with the infected to kill
Right,
humans.
Right.
Because it's like, wow, okay, yeah, humans are the real, real enemy.
I do like 28 Days Later. It's such a good movie. The military aspect of it is interesting because whenever the military guys show up, there's like a immediate sense of like, oh, thank God they're gonna be okay, because now all these guys with guns will be there. But there's also immediately this feeling of like, why did they just send 2 females on board?
Yeah, and you immediately start noticing when they're just like staring at him.
Yeah,
You're like,
it's like it's both at the same time. It's like a relief of the zombies won't attack you, but now there's this other thing at the exact same moment.
Yes, and it almost makes you like feel dreadful, where you're like, the zombies would have just killed them.
Right. Yeah,
Whereas the human beings
it could be
will
worse.
do worse.
Yeah.
And so you're like, God, jeez. And it's, there is, I mean, honestly, a level of tension nonstop.
Yeah.
They do have a fake out dream sequence that I kind of don't like.
I don't remember.
It's when they're all sleeping at those ruins out like in the forest. And he's like, oh my God, everyone left me behind. And he wakes up.
Yeah.
And I was like, but they do.
They don't do it that much. Some
They
movies
don't.
do it a lot.
Yeah,
It's like, okay.
and I think if I remember the scene correctly, they did it well, where he wakes up briefly, and the guy who's there with his daughter is like, hey, it's okay, go back to bed. And he says, thanks, Dad.
Oh,
And it kind of adds this level of like, even Jim, it's like, in essence, he's like a kid who like is like misses his parents.
Right.
And so I liked that. I'm just kind of, a hater when it comes to like fake out dream sequence stuff. I'm like,
Right.
ugh, like.
Didn't you tell me the end of this movie was gonna be like when he's like, basically, not to spoil alert, when he's like looks like he's gonna die? That's how they were gonna end it, but then they added that extra scene.
Yeah.
To
There's.
make it kind of a happy ending.
Yeah, they have like the deleted alternate ending where he gets shot, they go to hospital, and he dies,
Yeah.
and it's just Selena and the girl.
Yeah.
But I assume the test audiences were like, no,
Yeah. They're like, please.
no, you're not gonna kill Cillian Murphy, bro.
He's been through enough.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it does seem a bit, like, how did he live with a gunshot, from a rifle in his stomach? But again, you say that in a movie where it's like, well, how is there zombies?
Yeah.
So you're like, whatever. I don't really care. I mean, it's unfortunate that, they haven't brought him back yet, which I think he's supposed to come back for the Bone Temple next
Okay.
year. But, rewatching it, I guess I never really realized. I remember at the end when it shows the jets flying by and they have the sign that says hello. I was just like, oh, neat, whatever. But then when we rewatched it and the subtitles were on, you can actually hear the pilot say like, 3 survivors for pickup. And I was like, oh, shit. So they're actually like, they could be alive
Right.
currently because
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
picked up and saved. And so, it just kind of, again, here I thought I had rewatched the movie a million times. And then I was like, oh, never noticed.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
It's a good movie.
So.
Now, The Flight of the Dead. I noticed how you didn't talk about that one.
Well, I mean, so Flight of the Dead, again, is another.
It's a little schlocky, but
It's very
kinda
schlocky.
fun.
I think this movie, just like Planet Terror, knows what it is and doesn't take itself too seriously. It feels very manufactured schlock.
Yeah.
Again, Walmart bin.
It's like early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, I think my mom bought me this literally at Walmart in like 8th grade or something.
Yeah.
And it's so of the time. It's, snakes on a plane, zombies. I mean, the zombie craze was so popular going into 2010 that, of course, of course
Right.
they were going to make it. And it's so, oh my god, there's like, stupid teenagers and a kid and a military guy and a doctor
and a cheating couple.
Yeah, cheating couple and a prisoner, and because you watch a movie like this and you're like, oh, how are they even gonna fight back? So of course it's like,
right.
There's an air marshal with a gun, but there's also like a retired army guy with a gun,
right.
and all this, and there's a guy in the basement with a submachine gun guarding a zombie in a freezer. And you're like, okay, and of course they go through a little bit of turbulence, and oh my god, the buckle strap on the freezer came off. Oh, here we go, infected. And it's I don't know.
It's a fun zombie movie.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's a guilty pleasure. There you go.
And
I know
if
it's shit.
If it had gone up against something else, it may have made it another round.
That's true. It may have.
It's going up against one of the best.
Yeah. So, it's basically no comparison. 28 Days is amazing. Flight of the Dead compared to that is dog shit. But Flight of the Dead is still a funny, let's just say you're doing a quick, zombie, let's watch 3-5 zombie movies. And for whatever reason, you're not picking the classics. You pick some dumb shit like this where, everyone's at the party. Everyone's at the party drinking and eating snacks. And you just turn some dumb shit like this on.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god.
It's like taking that classic idea and just making it it's on a plane, so it's a little different.
Well, it's just so they're moving through different parts of the plane and this and that, and a zombie comes out of the mirror in the bathroom. You're like, why is there just a huge open area behind the mirror?
Yeah.
What? And it's just.
When we were putting together this list too, in my brain, I confused this movie with that vampire.
Yeah. For a second, as I was talking about, I was like, oh wait, that's not that movie.
Yeah, I always.
Oopsie.
I don't know why it's these two movies. Maybe we watched them close together, but I'm always like, oh yeah, and then she's an infected zombie.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, no, that's.
Which again, that was a movie where you're oh my god, vampires on a plane, but they take it seriously. They do it well enough where you're like, that was not a bad movie.
Yeah.
For a vampires on a plane movie, it was, I'd say, pretty well done.
Right.
But yeah, so we're just gonna go with 28 Days Later on that one. Oh, okay, well.
This one might be a little closer.
A little closer, but I already know which one I'm gonna pick.
Okay, which one?
Cargo.
Really? Because I would actually say World War Z is a little
better. Well, this is a good one where tonally it's completely different. But there's, now as I'm thinking through it, there's a lot of aspects that are similar. So World War Z, completely unlike the book. They just stole the name because why not?
I feel like this is probably the most widely watched zombie movie.
Yes.
In my brain. Yeah, as someone who doesn't really like zombie movies before I met you, I was like, this is the only zombie movie I would tolerate.
World War Z is the general audience zombie movie. It's so safe, where you're kind of like, ugh.
Okay.
Because the book, again, the World War Z book, is about post-war. A journalist is interviewing people from the zombie war about their experiences, and they are retelling what they had to go through. Sounds amazing. That's not what the movie did whatsoever.
Right.
It's not even the same guy. Nothing. World War Z is Brad Pitt, which you're like, what the hell? His wife, kids. He was a UN war journalist, and so when the zombie virus starts happening, he's like, ah, shit. His UN, friends are like, dude, we need you to. You're the only guy who can do it, even though, I doubt he's the only guy
he's
who's
not a special ops.
No, he's just a journalist.
He's a journalist,
and he's
it doesn't make that much
sense.
But
he's like, yeah, I've covered the Middle East and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm sure you and 300 other people have done that.
Right, yeah.
Why are they only acting like you're the guy?
Yeah.
Because they're immediately also trusting him, like, hey, even though you haven't been employed by us in a while or nothing. Here, top secret government information. You're going to go with a squad of Navy SEALs to Korea and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And you're just like, what? I mean...
The most realistic part of this movie is that the United States government would push someone off a ship as soon as they're not valuable anymore.
They're like, these bunks are reserved for people who actually contribute. And it's like, damn,
it's the dad was just missing in action one day ago.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, you're going back to the mainland. I was like, that's a bit much.
his buddy's like useless too. His buddy's like,
Oh yeah, he's like,
I'll protect your
I did
family."
everything I could. Sorry. I mean, what I like about World War Z is, you know, when they show the zombie stuff, especially when they're in Israel,
yeah,
you're like, wow, that's scary because I mean, it's
they're
just
fast.
yeah.
They're
Well, and they
scary, yeah.
swarm,
They swarm.
and you're like, God, that's
I
scary.
feel like I haven't seen very many zombie movies where it's like this level of how many people are zombies, where it's like they're climbing huge
Yeah.
walls on top. That
Yeah.
part is pretty scary.
Well, yeah, and I hate that like that happens like in the middle of the movie,
Right.
and you're kind of like, shouldn't that be happening as like a final battle thing? Like this movie feels so weird where you don't really get to see the World War.
Right.
You know, you get to see one tiny scene, and that's it. I was hoping that in the end you would get to see the World War, but no, not really. So it just kind of feels a little mistitled.
Right.
I mean, I don't hate the movie, but especially at the end, it's like they really the movie kind of ramps up where you're like, oh my god, beginning of the zombie virus. Oh, it's hectic,
Right.
and you see this, and he's in Korea, and you're like, ooh, 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 and then it really, really kind of dies down.
It does. It slows down.
To he gets in a plane accident where somehow magically everyone dies but him and that girl.
Right. Doesn't he get like stabbed?
Yeah,
through
he
his
literally has
chest or something?
he has a
Yeah.
huge rebar in his gut.
And they walk like 50 miles
Yeah,
afterwards.
or more, 100 miles, and they happen to find the Who,
Right.
and then it's just kind of it becomes this very quiet, more like dialogue focused movie, and you're like, well, the rest of the movie was really like stressful, action packed zombie, but now you were kind of going like calm and
It's like a more tense though, where it's like you gotta outsmart things and be kind of like clever.
I mean,
more than just like survival.
it's like,
running
yes,
away.
he has to outsmart like 8 zombies or whatever, but it was one of those things where I just kept thinking, I don't know, this doesn't feel as tense as when you were literally running to the airplane in Israel, running from 5,000 zombies, and you're like, wow, that's scary.
He's like
And
jumping on a helicopter.
Yeah, so to me, I just felt like it was just kind of dying. I don't know, the momentum of like, wow, this is a stressful, crazy, tense zombie movie kind of died down. But then, he does the thing where he's like, I injected myself with the thingy. I'm it's a camouflage to zombies. And then the last 3 minutes, they're like, we started winning against the zombies. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, we couldn't see that.
I will say I do love in like movies like zombie movies or alien or whatever, where it's like there's a thing that you can take advantage of to win, but you have to figure that out, and you've been given clues about it throughout the whole movie. So I do like that. They do that. What's World War? What's the other movie with the aliens?
Oh, you're talking about Independence Day? Or you're talking about War of the Worlds, where they figure out that.
War of the Worlds, where they figure out, yeah. It's kind of the same thing, actually.
I mean, in War of the Worlds, though, they weren't given any clues except for literally the aliens started dying.
That's true.
And they were like, why are they dying?
Well, in this movie, I like how it's like they kind of give you a clue, and you're like, why the hell didn't it attack these people? And then you're like, okay, there's a way to figure this out. And then
well, my whole thing is like, so they don't attack anyone. Like, it doesn't even have to be a deadly disease. They basically were saying that the zombies don't attack anyone with any disease.
Right.
And I'm like, you're telling me that wouldn't have became pretty apparent pretty quick?
Yeah, I think we actually joked while we watched this on the rewatch that, like, what about, like, obese people?
Yeah.
'Cause,
Heart
like,
disease or,
they're
gum
like,
disease.
Yeah. They're like, hey, how come the zombies are fighting
Yeah.
someone who's
And so
morbidly obese?
it was just one of those things where I'm like, I feel like it would just have became so apparent when you're like, why is there like 300 people in New York City that are untouched?
Yeah, true.
Whatever. But so that I kind of felt like was kind of hit or miss when he's like, the answer is they don't attack you if you're, like
And
diseased.
that is a true point, because they make it seem later on that it has to be like kind of serious illness, because they show like a kid that looks like he has like leukemia.
Yeah.
And they show like a guy who like can't really walk, and it's like, okay, so it's gotta be kind of serious. But then later, the way they saw it was they're like, we're giving everybody like the flu. You know what I mean? It's like, you're trying to tell me that.
And the guy in Korea who was like, they didn't attack me, I've got this, like.
Oh, like his leg was.
He was like,
infected.
he was like, I've got this leg problem, and so you're like, is that deadly? Does that mean that guy's about to die?
Right.
Or he just has like a blood like sepsis or something.
Yeah.
So I was just like, so you're telling me anyone with a disease can't be attacked, but they only show like 2 people not being attacked. I'm like, I promise you, there's more people in the world with something.
Doesn't his daughter have like asthma?
Yeah.
Weren't the zombies trying to get her real?
Yeah. And so you're just like, it's one of those things where you're like,
you gotta suspend disbelief a little bit.
Well, that or you're like either under-explain it or explain it better. I just like, it's like, I don't hate World War Z, but it just...
I'll tell you why I picked World War Z over Cargo. I watched Cargo one time, that's enough. It's too heartbreaking. I will not.
But that's like going into Cargo. I love Martin Freeman as an actor. Obviously, he did great in Sherlock and Bilbo in The Hobbit. And it's just, I loved the aspect of, it's just such a, I mean, I had watched the short first. And then when I heard they were making a movie, I was like, well, I don't know how you're going to make a movie over a 13-minute short, but sure. And then you're like, wow. It's like genuinely like, they do so much in such a short period of time because he has 48 hours before he turns into a zombie.
Right.
And it's like, he's like, I'm infected, my wife's dead. I need to find someone to take care of my daughter.
Right.
And, right in the beginning, he finds a couple, and you're like, they seem nice. And it turns out the guy's a psycho. It's not even her husband. He's just literally a freak that keeps her prisoner.
Held her captive.
And so you're like, damn. And he, he's like thinking about killing himself. And there's the part where they're in the tunnels where the zombies sleep. And I think like the army comes and starts shooting them one by one. And he's like freaking out. And he like is slowly turning, and he's trying to help this native.
The zombies being in the dark is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah,
where they like bury their heads and stuff.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And they basically like are in hibernation during the night.
Right.
And then he meets this girl, which is this supposed to be Australia? Was that the whole thing?
I can't remember.
Because I can't remember if the whole thing is these are supposed to be Aboriginals, and he's in Australia. Because it doesn't really look like anywhere.
Australia.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's just like seeing the struggle of him like turning, desperately trying to find some place for his daughter, and then the kind of the conclusion with the Aboriginal girl and him and his daughter, and where that leads up. I mean, you're right. It is extremely sad, but it was just...
I feel like you wouldn't want to ever watch this movie again. You know what I mean? It's just like so hard. Like he loses his wife, and then he's like, he's gonna lose his time with his daughter. He's like sacrificing everything. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, it might be kind of a vibe killer, but I feel like if I was like, hey, if you want to watch legitimately good zombie movie, here you go.
That's
because
true. For like a person who is like looking for like a zombie movie.
Yes, because they do what we always complain about. We're always, oh my god, it's always the same, always the same. They were like, let's make the zombie apocalypse kind of like the background, but make the movie about like a father and his like who would do anything for his kid,
right? And
like the challenges that come with that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, thank God, And you're right. I don't hate World War Z. My problem with World War Z is I really love the beginning and the middle, and I just really don't care for the last third act.
Okay. How important is it to you that the zombie itself is like scared, like there's like a fear aspect or anything? Is it just, the movie is in zombie world, so that's, enough?
I mean, I'd say in both movies, they're genuinely scary for their own ways. Like visually how they look. Like in World War Z, it's scary because they almost like, again, they pile on each other. They basically turn into a huge steamroller.
Right.
And it's so freaky to see that. In Cargo, it's scary because they have this horrible like goo that comes out of their mouth and eyes and ears. And they're slow, but they physically look disgusting and scary. And so they both have their own like scary in this way and that way. And I'm not the biggest fan of running zombies.
Okay.
But I've always had the, in my mind, because ultimately, again, this ain't real. It's all fake. In my mind, it would make sense if you had a movie take place over like, even just like a month or two. And in the beginning, the zombies can run. But if they don't eat or anything. I mean, because they're rotting, they're dead.
Yeah.
By a week or two, they would be slower and slower, and by the end, they would basically be like just crawling at you.
Right.
Because their body would still be rotting.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, why can we not get one zombie movie that tries to do that? That way you have a little bit of, okay, right when they turn, they can still be fast, whatever.
Yeah.
But, because they don't eat and they don't regenerate cells, kaboom. They just start rotting, getting slower, and, that's just something. But, I will, you know what? I will give World War Z credit. Seeing Brad Pitt tape magazines to his legs and arms for armor, I was like, thank you.
Right.
You surprisingly don't see a lot of that in a lot of zombie movies where you're like, dude, you dumbass, don't just run out there.
Yeah.
And it's smart because magazines, yes, they're paper, but when you roll up a magazine, it is like good luck biting through that.
Yeah, human teeth.
Yeah.
It's not
And
like,
so I was like, smart, good job.
What do you think about in the Cargo movie where at the end when that guy, the evil guy, gets killed, they're like, okay, he's a good guy. He's redeemed because he likes the baby and he's saying sorry basically. Do you remember that part?
Wait, what? I don't remember that.
So the guy who kidnapped his wife, when he comes and chases them in the tunnel, he kills him, and then he's holding the baby I'm sorry, and everyone's like, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't even like that they did that. I was like, oh, so now we've forgiven him.
Yeah. Okay, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, again, something like Cargo suffers from you're trying to turn a short into a full-length movie.
Yeah.
And overall, they did a good job, but you're right.
It's not too long.
No.
It's not.
But there are some things where you're like, okay, I see you took the creative liberty. If I remember correctly in Cargo, there's also the thing where he boats by a family. It's like a husband, wife, and two kids. They're having a birthday party, but what it is they're about to kill themselves.
Right.
And you're like, wow, that's depressing.
That scene is really good because there's this moment of oh, it's the world's still normal. It's fine. People are having birthday parties and stuff, and then it's oh wait, no, just kidding.
Yeah. And they're basically obviously the guy's kids aren't aware of it, but you can tell when he looks at him. Can't remember the full scene, but he's waves or something where you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And I think he pulls out a gun or something.
Right.
But
pretty dark scene. Pretty
dark, yes, but I give a movie like that credit where it's he's literally about to turn into a zombie and he's seeing oh, is this it?
Yeah.
Everyone ends up dying, is that all that's left? But then even though he's still turning, he's like, no. Even after seeing all that, he's like, no, I'm gonna find something.
Right.
And the irony is that whereas in the beginning he immediately thought he could trust the people who kind of look like him, talk like him, what happens is his daughter is entrusted with an Aboriginal tribe.
Right.
Someone completely different from
different life
him.
Than he's ever led.
Yeah. And so I don't know if they were trying to say something with that. But I found it interesting that where it's
right.
He was so easy to trust people because they look like him.
True.
And he was just white couple, blah, blah, blah.
White family.
Yeah, and I think initially he's scared of the Aboriginals.
Yeah.
And trying, hiding from them. And so it's just I'm not sure if the movie was trying to say something about that. How people trust people based off,
Very
looks,
true.
so who knows?
So you're going to go with Cargo?
Yes.
Okay.
But are we both voting?
We're at odds on this one, so you'll be the tiebreaker. So we'll do Cargo.
Okay. Next one is Patient Zero and Return of the Living Dead. Now, I can assume most people will know Return of the Living Dead. I'm not sure if they'll know about Patient Zero.
Yeah.
So...
Not a blockbuster hit?
Yeah, so Patient Zero, I just found at vintage stock for $1. Didn't even realize that was Stanley Tucci on the cover.
I was about to ask you, do you think Stanley Tucci did a good job in this movie?
Well, he always kind of plays this, he just plays sassy, like I'm better than you guy.
Yeah, Diva Man.
Which I swear, isn't he in the Hunger Games and he kind of does the same thing?
I can't remember. I think you're right.
I swear. And it's just so many movies with Stanley Tucci. He just plays like, kind of guy over and over again. And then I remember I was like,
2 steps ahead of
yeah,
you.
and I was like, Matt Smith is in it, huh? And overall, it's not.
Say the premise of this movie, because it is kind of an interesting premise.
Yeah.
So I
So
don't necessarily think they did well, but it's still like, oh, that's a
yeah, it's
interesting
different.
way.
It's well into the zombie outbreak, and a bunch of military personnel, scientists, and refugees live in a like silo bunker. And one of the scientists there was bitten by a zombie, but he didn't turn, and instead he can actually understand what zombies are saying and speak to them. And so it creates this whole new level of they slowly start kidnapping zombies for him to talk to and try to get through and get more answers, because they're like, maybe there's the master zombie, and if we kill him, all the other ones will die, or we'll get a vaccine from him.
Yeah,
which
they're like trying to track down the original.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what the Patient Zero.
Yeah, Patient Zero.
It
was just some of it. I was just kind of like, are you trying to say they're like vampires, where if you kill the master one,
It was kind of like
they'll all die? But they're also like, we can only get a vaccine from Patient Zero, and I was like, is that how that would work?
The other thing too is, there's like, and tell me if I'm remembering this wrong. There's like this whole thing where Stanley Tucci, the main zombie, he's like sending signals because he's the alpha zombie to his zombie horde, and he's like, "Come over here."
Yeah, they
where I'm
basically
at.
can like telepathically talk to each other.
Yeah, there's like something, because that's the whole thing. Like the Matt Smith guy, he's like, "I can understand it," but Stanley Tucci's like telling his group.
Yeah, and Stanley Tucci's zombie isn't like he acts human. He wants a
acts
cigarette,
completely normal.
and he's just like, meh, I'm just a dude. But he's got the zombie powers, and of course he starts going like, I'm the next evolution of humans, and blah, blah, blah. And, he's like, maybe we're like the new, like you're trying to get rid of us, but what if we're what's supposed to be the new thing, and you're the virus, you're the problem, and you're like, oh my God, it's so philosophical. They had some good, like, scary scenes where the zombies come in, and it shows, like, the mess hall where everyone's sleeping.
Right.
And they're like, oh my, and there's just zombies raining in.
Yeah.
You're like, wow,
That's
woo.
pretty scary.
But
The zombies are kind of fast and scary in this movie, too.
yeah, I would say, not like look-wise, standard zombie, nothing too crazy.
They don't look super, like, dead, or they almost look just like humans that are, like, have blood and like weird looking eyes.
None of them look super, super rotted. You get some flashbacks where you're like, okay, it kind of is helpful, but kind of doesn't do much. Like, we already understand that he got bitten and didn't turn and is like a savant.
Right. And then there's a whole subplot where his wife, who did turn into a zombie, is like locked up, and the reason why he does all this is to try to find a cure for her.
Yeah, because he like visits her and talks to her. But then she's mad that he's like banging the scientist lady or whatever.
I don't even think she was mad about that. She was just like, "Why are you you're like torturing me?"
Like you won't let me die, but you keep me around.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile, you're living a life. And I'm over here like a zombie.
Yeah.
Because like they have some level of like understanding.
Yeah. Even
as a zombie, where you're like, yeah, I want to bite and kill people, but I still have my memories. Kinda.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I honestly can't picture myself watching it ever again.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to watch, but I think I may have given it like a 2.5 out of 5 or a 3. It's like very middle of the road.
I gave it a nice enough score solely because I was like, oh, a guy who can talk to zombies, that's, I hadn't really seen that before.
Right.
So that's unique. I'll give you a point for that. And for Return of the Living Dead, basically a classic, it ramped up like it's so 80s satire.
Yeah.
Where it reminded me of RoboCop.
Yeah.
Because it's so out of the top. It's like you have, the angry punk rock guy and his like weird, I don't know, sometimes girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
And you know they got
They
like
have a whole like gang of friends that are like
so different from each
oddballs,
other
yeah.
because it's like the nerd holding the stereo, and then there's like the disco guy, and then there's whatever her name is, Trash or something, you know, with the pink hair.
Yeah.
And then she's like always all over the big buff punk rock guy, and he's like, get off me. And then you have like the regular girl and there's like a guy in a suit who's always like, why won't you be my girlfriend? And you're like, what is this friend group?
Right.
It's like you took every 80s stereotype and just went like, they're all friends.
Right.
And you know, it's almost comical where Night of the Living Dead is a movie in that universe because they mention it.
Right.
Have you ever seen that movie, Night of the Living Dead? And you know, it was real, and we got these zombies and tanks, and it'll never open. Doink.
I will say this movie made me actually like laugh out loud a couple times.
Yeah, it's because it's so it does the thing that I usually hate when it's overdone, but it was good in this movie, which is like it just horrifically lingers on a scene and has no like music or anything.
Yeah.
And it's just so like dreadful.
Yeah.
Like when the corpse on the hook becomes reanimated and he's like yellow, you know, like he's got jaundice.
Oh my god, yeah.
And
I
it's
love
like
that
6
part.
minutes of them trying to just hold him down, and they're just like screaming. There's no music.
Yeah.
And it's just so like comical because it's so.
I would go as far to say this movie is like campy.
Yeah.
Where it's like so funny and so like
It's very
outrageous.
Evil Dead like.
Evil Dead, yeah. My favorite part of this movie is when the older guy and the new employee guy, which I think they might be related.
Yeah.
But they're like talking about the barrels and they like touch it and it like explodes.
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
Well, that's
so
the thing
hard.
is, you know, he's like built right here in the USA by the Army. You know, these things won't ever leak, and he just barely
Yes,
taps it,
and it,
and
like,
it just
explodes.
bursts in his face.
That part was really funny.
And you're like, ooh, okay.
The zombies look cool. They
Yeah.
don't look. They each look so unique.
Again, even this zombie, when they do this
Yes.
effect, which I'm praying YouTube does not flag me now that I'm seeing it
Why?
for that.
I mean, that's like okay.
YouTube's like, nuh-uh, dead nipple.
You can barely
Flagged.
tell what it is. Here, for the next round, I'll crop it.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, YouTube can suck it. I mean, they're whatever. But the effects look great. Now, this movie, again, it does something weird where you're like, wait a minute, are they mindless zombies or not? Because they dress up as the paramedics and go, send
that's right.
more police or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they keep, like, they strategically hide in the bushes
Right.
and then jump them. So I'm like, wait a minute, are they super smart? Because then in other scenes, they're just like,
yeah.
and you're like,
Well, and
Huh?
then when that one girl's boyfriend turns into a zombie, he's still talking to her.
oh, yeah.
Like, he's just like, come here, sweetheart, you know, whatever.
He's like, I smell you.
Yeah. And then when that one girl with the pink hair turns into a zombie, she's like a different zombie.
Oh, yeah, she's like a demonic zombie.
She's like a demonic
yeah.
zombie that can, like, control zombies or something.
Yeah, well, and
It's
she, like, opens her mouth all scary where she's like,
right,
you know,
yeah.
you're like, okay, but they don't elaborate further where you're just like, she's like an alpha zombie? I don't, what? Okay.
This movie was really good, and I also like the whole military side of it where the guy's like, all right, bomb that city.
Yeah, well, and it's
They
so
drop the
sudden, too,
nuke.
where they're like, you hear that noise?
Right,
It's
yeah.
just the end. But then, of course, they give you the stinger where it's like, because they nuked all the zombies, the ashes from, like, the zombies
Right.
are going into the rain, which are now falling into a different town.
Right.
And you're like, ah, shit. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely say Return of the Living Dead was a lot more enjoyable than
I would definitely watch that one again.
Patient Zero.
It might be on the long side, but it was still fun to watch.
Yeah, I would say Return of the Living Dead 100% would be, you're having like a Halloween party or whatever, you're putting that on.
Yeah.
It's the fun vibe, for sure. This one I can basically tell you which one I'm already picking
Yeah,
too.
I think this one is not a super fair head-to-head because one of them is really good,
Yes.
and one of them is kind of like a lower tier
Yes.
zombie movie.
Unfortunately. So both of these movies, I'm curious how well people have heard of them, because one, Cut of the Dead, I had heard of, but I'd never watched, and I never cared to watch a trailer or anything. Wormwood, I watched when it came out, like
Right.
the last year of high school when I graduated. But I've never heard any, like, all the YouTubers I watch,
Yeah.
whatever, not one have I ever heard, like, oh, Wormwood.
Is it worth saying that we watched Wormwood before and we had to rewatch it because it was kind of forgettable?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very like middle of the road everything, and
Well, it's when you talk about derivative, Wormwood, and I think it says it on one of the posters or whatever. It's like Shaun of the Dead meets Mad Max, and I'm like, I mean, it's basically trying to blatantly copy Shaun of the Dead, like
right.
with the editing and everything. They're trying.
It does have cool Mad Max vibes too, which I love. But
It does, but
you know.
it doesn't ever like. When you say meets Mad Max, like a zombie movie meets Mad Max, I was hoping we would get to see like a post-apocalyptic,
right,
like
more like high level, like apocalypse.
well, like
world.
where it's basically like, the apocalypse happened and there's like kingdoms,
right,
and then one of them they're like, hey, here's race in my zombie arena,
right.
and I thought we'd get stuff like that, but that's by Mad Max they mean. Look at the way they're
Outfits
dressed.
in a car.
Car, yeah, and it's like, which they don't even do that much in.
That's true.
It's not even like the Dawn of the Dead remake where they make this cool car and they've got the chainsaw ports on the sides and throw barrels and blow them up and
Right.
all that. Unique enough where they're like, oh look, his sister gets bitten by a zombie but has superpowers.
Yeah, I personally think the acting in Wormwood is like not the best.
Well, it's one of those again where I said how 28 days later everything feels genuine. In that it feels so like, I mean, again, it is low budget. You can tell that these were probably first time actors or even a
Right.
student film.
There's just this whole vibe of like they're like, cut. I need to read my script again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but they do the thing where he's like looks at the camera and he's like, I don't want to talk about it. I had to kill my wife and kids this morning. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's so forced.
Yeah.
He's like trying to do like gravelly Batman voice. You're like,
Yeah.
not working. And then his like
There are
crazy
fun,
ass.
There's fun stuff about the movie though, where
It
it's
is,
it's got a lot of
but-
energy.
I'm just like, I'd rather watch Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
I would rather. And
But for someone who likes Shaun of the Dead, this would be a good one to watch.
I would think it's just kind of. I mean, even when we just rewatched it the other week, I was like,
I know it's not memorable.
it's not. It's just like meh. I know the second one seems like it had a better budget and stuff. I have not seen the second one, but I just got tired of hearing his friend too. The one that like cusses nonstop and talks real fast. I was just like,
It felt very teenager coded.
Yes.
Movie.
Yes.
And One Cut of the Dead, we watched this one. This is the first time I think either one of us had watched this, and I was like blown away by this movie.
Yeah, One Cut of the Dead. When you talk about a movie that is like Shaun of the Dead adjacent, where it's like comedic but has heart, this would be that movie.
I would say this movie is like a perfect example of a movie that flips your expectations.
Yes.
And
So
you'd say more about our. Basically, you go on a journey watching this movie for the
yeah,
first time.
I mean, it's going to be spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled for this movie, just skip until the next round. But we saw one trailer for it, and I was just like, okay, so it's a movie about a movie crew trying to make a movie during when a zombie apocalypse starts. And so we're watching it. I'm like, okay, that's what it's about. And you're kind of like, God, this sucks ass. Like, I feel like I'm watching, and I thought the movie was from like 2001, not 2017.
It's like lower than like a YouTube produced short movie.
You're just like, wow, like I get what they're going for, but this sucks. And then it's like kind of like starts like showing like a demonic thing. You're like, wait, what? And then it just cuts after like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like,
and you're kind of glazing over the fact of how many like annoying scenes there are where it's like it's like a chase for like 5 minutes,
yes.
and it's like
Well,
really boring,
yes.
and there's like back and forth camera angles for like 10 minutes straight.
yeah,
You're
it
like,
just
what's
feels
going
like
on?
the most like padded out annoying zombie movie. And we paused it and I was like, how the hell does it say that there's still like over an hour left of this movie?
Yeah.
What? And then it just cuts and it's like literally like tonally a completely different movie.
Don't they roll credits too?
I think so. Or you
Because-
hear someone say cut.
Yeah, it's like, what is happening? There's
Yeah.
like an hour left.
And then it turns into this like completely like different movie basically, where you realize it's a 30-minute program for like a news station, and they hire this guy who makes commercials, and they're like, you need to direct this thing where it's people making a movie and then a zombie apocalypse starts.
Right.
So you're like, oh,
so there's
okay.
like 2 layers of like, it's a movie about a crew making
Yeah,
a movie about a crew.
Yes. And then you go, oh, what I just watched was the final product. But then
Right.
you're like, then what is the rest of the movie about? And you realize, like, the guy who, in the original 30-minute film that you see in the beginning, who's, like, the biggest crazy asshole, is the super, super sweet, like, nice director guy who's, like, really, really, like, passive. And he's got a wife and daughter. And his daughter is, like, in love with, like, the singer actor who's in the movie is like the main boy actor.
His wife is like a former actress that gave
Yeah,
it up.
yeah, because she got like too crazy.
She got too crazy.
Yeah,
You don't realize that at the beginning that's why she gave it up.
yeah.
But, so
Well, and she's not acting.
she's
actually like psychotic.
right.
But you just get this like heartfelt, like he's doing this, and his daughter wants to make movies, and you know
he's dealing with a crew of actors who are maybe not the best.
Yeah,
like,
or they're just like this is
professionally.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because like one lady has her baby, and they're like, we can't do this because like she always has her baby,
Right.
and he basically, when he's acting as the in-movie director, basically takes out his real-world anger on the singer boy actor, because
Right.
he's just like, I'm so tired of your shit. And so, you know, they're like, wow, he's like really acting, and you know, you start realizing like, oh, I don't think they're necessarily acting.
Right.
But it was just this wonderful, and then right at the end, the movie plays out again, but this time you get to see it from the actual crew perspective.
And it's hilarious because I was worried about that. I was like, are they gonna make us watch it again? Because it's not a great zombie movie in the sense of like sitting and watching it, but it was like when you see the behind the scenes, what they had to do to make some of the scenes work, and you're realizing, oh, when I watched it the first time, that's why they had that scene.
Yeah.
It's like really funny and like.
Well, and even like the one guy with the headband, when you think he gets grabbed by a zombie and he's like screaming or whatever. Oh no, he's like, I can't take this anymore, runs out. And and he screams, but it's because he has like IBS or whatever, and he's like shitting himself.
Yeah.
And so he screams because they like grab him off camera.
And then they have the one guy who is an alcoholic
who
can't stop coming to work drunk, and he shows up drunk, and they just make him into a zombie,
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
he had a whole different role. And
Yeah,
they
yeah,
just
yeah.
do it on the fly.
Because you think the zombie is like spitting on the guy, but he's actually just drunk as fuck and just spits on the guy, like pukes on him.
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay. No, just such a wonderful job. So creative.
It's almost like not a zombie movie.
It's really not. It's almost like just like a fun, I don't know, like filmmaker movie. I don't know. It's just a fun movie.
It is.
And they luckily
I would
didn't
watch a whole show about them making different stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? This group of people.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm obviously gonna pick One Cut of the Dead.
Yeah, it's not a really fair matchup.
Yeah,
To be
I mean, a
honest
lot
with
of these
you.
haven't been fair, but
Yeah,
I mean, whatever. Oh boy, Diary of the Dead versus Zombievers. Both, I would say, equally suck in essence, but can be guilty pleasures. Diary of the Dead, I had it on DVD in like middle school. I was real big into zombies then, and so I had a bunch of the zombie movies, but you know, it's found footage, and it is a guilty pleasure. I feel like it is kind of ass, but
it has a like endearing quality about it though, because it's of that time, and it's very of that time where it's like a lot of cliches, but a lot of like it's like moody. It's like
you know, it's annoying when George Romero makes a movie about college kids in 2010, and they go like, I found this on the net.
Yeah, right.
You're like, shut up. I mean, what I liked about Diary of the Dead growing up is I kept thinking, you know, oh man, like, what would it be like for me and my friends on a situation where we're like on a road trip and we have an RV and we're like trying to get through the zombie apocalypse and like, you know, just going through like random towns and this, that, and the other. And I liked that aspect, but then there's just dumb shit in this movie, like the
I will say almost every character in this movie is insufferable in a different way.
Oh my god!
And so I never watched. This was my first time ever watching it, and so as an adult watching this, I was like, these characters are insufferable and unrealistic.
Well, the main character, Michael or whatever the fuck, James, John, whatever, the guy who's filming, he's so obsessed with filming that literally, even though his girlfriend is like, stop filming, you're upsetting me. I can't believe you care about that more than me. I'm letting this other guy put his arm around me. F you. He's like, I can't stop filming. The world's gotta know.
This movie suffers from why I struggle with found footage movies is because they have to make a reason why someone's filming.
Yes.
For these things that it doesn't make sense for them to be filming.
And their reasoning in this was to go, he's literally a psycho who can't, he's a film school guy who just can't, he's like,
right.
And he keeps going, the world's gotta know. But then he uploads it to YouTube and he's like, look how many views I'm getting.
Right.
And you're like, wait, so do you just care about being popular? You didn't actually care about, like, reporting things and, you know.
My favorite part in this movie is when they're in the hospital and he's filming. He's behind this, I think it's a guy or a girl, one of the characters, and a zombie comes and walks right past him and the camera.
Yes.
And attacks someone right in front of him. I was like, now this is kind of crazy.
That's literally one of the, like, moments in that movie that everyone always brings up because
it suspends the disbelief of
because it's so stupid. The mind you, the zombie who's got a pole on wheels and it's clanging, being loud as fuck,
right,
walks behind one guy, does nothing to him. The guy filming apparently couldn't hear, and then he attacks the guy like 5 feet in front of him.
Right.
And you go, why?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
It doesn't.
I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. You know, and when they meet
there aren't that many zombies in this movie either.
There aren't, and you go, are you guys this inept?
Yeah, it is pretty crazy.
Like, even at the end when they're like, oh, shut the door, the zombies are coming in. I'm like, I mean, if you guys have weapons, you should technically be able to kind of take them out one by one.
Yeah.
But...
yeah, the one guy who turns into a zombie and is able to take out, like, 2 people...
yes.
...is, like, kind of crazy, because he's not really fast.
No.
He's just, like, loudly moaning as he goes through the house.
Well, and they also, the nerdy guy... it really just felt by the end of the third act, they're like, how do we just get rid of people?
Right.
And they're like, let's have him take a shower, and with the door open, even though they know that the building's not secured.
Right.
Also, let's, let me just randomly take a shower while all my friends are still, like, searching the house.
Right.
Let me also plug in a dryer and wear a fucking robe and, like, stand by the shower with a full bathtub while I'm drying my hair.
Yeah, this movie has, like, no sense of urgency whatsoever.
No,
like,
well, they don't, it's like, I get it, George Romero, whatever he did, father of zombie movies, but you go, God, could you at least have, like, kind of thought this through?
Right.
So if the guy is done taking a bath and is in a robe drying his hair, why is the bathtub still so full? I feel like most people drain the bathtub when they're like, I'm going to go dry my hair.
That's true. Yeah.
And just little things where you're like, what? And like, the friend is like, I keep my family in the pool. And they're like, that's weird. Okay. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Lock him up. Mm-hmm. And just like, what?
But like you said, this movie does have this, like, nostalgia. It has, like, this certain endearing quality to it that it's fun to watch with, like, a group of people, where you're just like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I mean, I liked,
like, so bad it's good.
I liked the idea that they're not necessarily friends. They're friends because they're all in the same film class.
Right.
And so
there's tension. Like, some people don't really like each other.
Yeah.
And I think there's, like, a thing with, like, one of the girls dated one of the guys or whatever.
But there's things also that don't make sense where they keep watching the TV and they're like, the U.S. government keeps saying, like, it's just the regular day-to-day and nothing's wrong. I'm like, there's no actual way that could happen while you've been driving around, like, 2 states and everyone's dead.
Right.
There's just no way that, oh my God, look, they're trying to cover it up saying nothing's wrong. I'm like, that's literally impossible. Like, literally. I mean, and, like, they go to a hospital.
I don't remember the whole thing about this movie, but maybe they're trying to say, like, it's not widespread yet. they're like caught in the beginning of it. Maybe
Well,
that's what's
no,
happening.
they show that it's George Romero, but they show like a U.S. military guy doctoring the zombie footage from the beginning, and he's like, "Oh, those weren't zombies. They weren't actually dead, and so they came up and attacked our police officers." And they're like, "See, they're trying to cover it up that it's not zombies." I'm like, "You, what do you mean? You went to a hospital, no one there. You went to a college, everyone's gone. You're not covering that up."
I feel like this movie has a lot of cool ideas that could be better done. Like
Yeah.
somebody who's like, someone who's obsessed with filming. That's like how you see some streamer stuff today. There's like a psychological thing you could do with that.
Yeah.
And then like you said, like the different friend, like people who aren't really friends, like that is a good concept, but they're like brought together by something.
Well,
and then
remember-
also like the government trying to hide stuff is
Yeah.
like also an interesting concept.
Or remember,
with
like the
zombies.
professor? I'm like, he's such an anime character.
He was. It was like
He's
this
like,
whole movie is full of anime
yeah,
characters.
because the professor, he's like English, and he's like, oh, I've not had a good drink, I need some brandy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, guns are so violent. And he's like, grabs a bow, and he's like,
Right.
that's more of my taste.
Yeah.
I was like, shut up. Oh my god. It's so pretentious. And, again, even when they find the panic room at the end, and the filmmaker guy, James or whatever, is like, I can't go with you in the panic room. I have to keep filming. Walks 5 feet and dies.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my god.
So, what about Zombievers? I feel like it's a very similar frustration of like schlocky, not thought through stuff that's like poorly done in a way. But Zombievers has like, I don't know, it's like almost like a slasher movie.
Zombievers knows that it's stupid, but what annoys the shit out of me is, because I if this isn't from, what is that guy's name? Oh my god, the freaking guy who made Cabin Fever and shit, that guy.
Zombievers is directed by Jordan Rubin.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well, Zombievers reminds me of Cabin Fever and a lot of movies from what is that guy? He did the Green Inferno and that Thanksgiving movie. I think he played the Bear Jew in Inglourious Bastards. Can't remember his name, but he basically likes creating movies just like this, and that was kind of my problem with this. Is it's almost like it's trying to be like a satirical 80s slasher, but it's annoying because it's like it didn't feel satirical. I didn't feel Zombievers felt as satirical as it was trying to lead people on to be.
Yeah.
And it just kind of got annoying when all the characters just try to say the most vile and, juvenile things to be edgy and like, oh my god, look,
Yeah.
But it's almost like so annoying where I'm like, I'm tired of hearing these characters. They're so annoying. All they do is call each other, derogatory names and, everything. Oh, sex, drugs.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, you literally have given these characters no ability to have any kind of growth or for me to care about any of them. And so every time they die, I'm like, I literally could care less.
I like two things about this movie. The first thing I liked was the twist that, spoilers, that the nice friend is the one that cheated on that girl.
Oh yeah.
Girl's boyfriend, and I was like, oh my god, it was her. Like I was.
Well, in my opinion, they made that way too obvious. The moment they showed the picture and they were like, he was kissing on this mysterious girl, I was like,
I knew it would be one of the friends.
Well, I was like, yeah, it looks like the nice friend because it looks like the same hair. And I was like, it's pretty obvious, at least to me.
And then I love when the one girl gets bit by the beaver and then she starts turning into a beaver.
Yes, when she turns into a zombie beaver thing, it's pretty cool. It's pretty scary.
I'm like, this is more horrific than turning into a regular zombie.
Yeah.
She's like, has huge buck teeth and like a tail.
Yeah, weird like fingernails now, and it's interesting, but I don't know.
It doesn't feel like a zombie movie, even though it's like it is like getting bit by a zombie.
Well, it's we're trapped in a house and oh my god, we're surrounded.
That's true.
But I just like, even with all my complaints with Diary of the Dead, I would literally rather watch Diary of the Dead
I
than
agree.
this fucking movie.
I agree.
It's just
But Zombievers, it's like a good movie for like a fun, like with your friends, like
yeah. I
talk
mean,
shit about the movie.
yeah,
While it's
you're
playing.
probably watching it once with your buddies and then never again.
Right.
Okay. Overlord versus Maggie. Two tonally completely different movies. And again, with Overlord, I was hesitant to even add it on this list because I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like they are zombies, but also like kind of not because like the general guy, he infects himself with the zombie goo and he can like talk
Right.
and he's still sentient. So you're like, But then they show other zombies where they're just like mindless monsters.
Right.
And you're kind of like, because I can't remember when it shows some of the zombies if it really shows them like eating people or just killing them.
That's the thing too. When we were thinking about this, I was like, I don't know if they're not biting people.
No, they're just like punching them to death.
Attacking and like, I don't know. It's not maybe not the most typical zombie movie.
Yeah.
I think that's what it says it is in the thing.
Yeah, but that's like, again, how everyone's like, Crazies is a zombies movie.
Right.
I'm like, I just don't. This one had just enough, like, what I felt like zombies in it, where I said, okay, fine.
Right.
But in the end, Overlord really doesn't have that, like, really doesn't have zombies. You really only see, like, 2.
Right, yeah.
So it's
a good movie.
Yes, but it's a good movie, a good war movie. The effects are great. The acting's good. It was nice where, he's this shy, quiet guy who couldn't even kill a mouse, and he's forced to be put in a situation where it's life or death, so he has to, like, kill people.
And protect his friends and everything, yeah.
And do stuff, and, the characters they introduce, you're like, oh, okay, like, you have Kurt Russell's son, who plays, this, like, real, like, you can't save your sergeant, you gotta let him die, like, otherwise we're gonna die too, and he's very, just, like, closed off.
I mean, he's, like, a soldier that's just like, I gotta get this job done, like, if it's sacrificing myself or not, and he's like that to the very end. He doesn't really change.
Well, and then you have the New York guy who's, like, comes off kind of mean. But,
he's like the asshole at the beginning in the plane.
Yeah, he literally is just like, I'm gonna be mean to you. I'm gonna be mean to you.
He's like, I'm gonna bully you.
Yeah.
You. Yeah.
And then, I mean, it is kind of cringe when it's like exposition because he's like, oh, this guy couldn't even kill a mouse back at camp. Right. And you're like, okay, exposition.
Right.
I assume everyone who was in this plane probably came from the same camp as you and would have already known that. But he's like, looking at the camera like, exposition.
And then he turns it out to be like the biggest sweetheart in the movie with the little kid.
But yeah, I mean, it was, the Nazis uncovered a tar pit that, when synthesized, turns people into, because they're like, Hitler's 1,000-year Reich, and it's going to be, 1,000-year Reich needs 1,000-year soldiers. So they're like, we're going to make super Nazis. Oh, God, but they're zombies. It
does have a cool scene where they get the goo. I can't remember how, and their one buddy gets killed, and they bring him back to life, but he doesn't come back like normal.
Yeah.
And then it's like really freaky, and it's like, okay, well.
Yeah, it gets really like just like, oh God, and you're like, he's like turning.
And they end up just killing him again.
Yeah.
It's so fucked.
But it is interesting because they just like shoot him twice, and he dies for good.
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay. Well, I thought it'd take a little bit more than that, but.
Yeah. True.
All right.
It does have a creepy, like, evil scientist vibe, which
is
kind of nice.
This reminds me of Wolfenstein a lot, where it's like Nazi experiments, and oh my God, like this crazy science base underneath, and oh my God, what are they doing?
The bad guy is truly a horrific bad guy. He's like kind of sexually abusing a village girl.
I know.
Ready to sacrifice a kid for his own life.
Yeah, and they have like the Nazis. He basically has them like go house to house like once a week, and he's just like, nah,
He's like, I need a new victim for my zombie experiments, like
because you have like the husband and wife that are like crying like no, and then, they shoot the husband, and the wife's like crying. Then they're basically taking her to be turned into a zombie. And you're like, God, I already knew they were evil, but man, you're making them super evil in this movie. God, Jesus.
But very good. I mean, this is probably one of the only zombie movies that I personally like watching all the time. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I remember we watched it with your family too, and they were like, "Wow, that was good."
yeah,
It's just like it's again, it does the thing where you're like, overall, it's more of like a war movie and like about the main character and what he has to go through than zombies. But with the zombies being there, it works hand in hand.
right.
And you're like,
Right.
you know what? And even at the end, you're like, damn. I mean, it's got a satisfying ending, but you're like, oh, shit, you know. He's like, well, on to the next mission.
Yeah,
Like, damn, okay.
true.
Yeah, good. There's a reason I have it on Blu-ray. You know, we've rewatched it many, many times. With Maggie, it's interesting because I also own this on Blu-ray, and I bought this years ago. I think even before we met.
Oh.
And I literally never watched it.
It's a weird one.
It's so here's what's
It's not
crazy.
bad. It is a weird one. It's not what you. If you're wanting to watch a zombie movie, this is not the one you pick up.
Yeah, so Arnold's in it. Whatever her name is, Abigail Breslin,
Yeah.
is in it. And so when I heard it's a zombie movie, you know, he's and his daughter turns into a zombie, I was like, okay, so maybe it's like he's trying to find a cure for his daughter or something before the end. But even when thinking that and being told the synopsis, watching it, I was like, oh wow, this is I did not think it was like this. I thought it would be like The Last of Us, maybe, where
Oh yeah.
his daughter gets infected and he's just, I don't know, trying to take her across country to, you know, I heard of this doctor who might be able to save you or something. But instead, like we've said, it's almost like the movie is a metaphor for grief and like,
It's like someone has already died and you're still
Yeah.
living with the
Yes.
memory of them.
or like how people are when like someone close to them has a terminal illness
Right.
and is like in hospice because Arnold and the daughter's mom had her. The mom died. He remarried and had 2 more kids. And currently it's Arnold, the new wife, their 2 kids, and the other daughter. And, you know, you find out from like kind of flashbacks, but basically in general, that the daughter got bit and she's got like 6 months.
Right. There's
And-
like she goes to a hospital where it's like, this is a common thing. A lot of
Yeah,
people have
this is a world where the zombie apocalypse is happening, but it's to a point where ordinary life kind of still goes on. Like, there's still police officers, there's still hospitals,
Right.
there's still businesses, but then, you know, you see some businesses where, like, the owner's dead because zombies attacked him.
Right.
And they have, like, pamphlets, like, how to deal with your loved one, you know,
With the
who's
yeah.
going to die from an infection. You're like, okay, interesting. I have not really seen that in a zombie movie, so it was very fascinating to see.
This movie really makes you think a lot too, because obviously we just talked about the grief and then like living with the terminal illness, but there's this whole other part of it that's like somebody who's like now a pariah in the community,
Yeah.
and they have like basically like a police force that's like, oh, you need to just take care of that person before it you know what I mean? There's like this sense of like
Yeah.
everybody knows you have something,
Yeah.
and you're an outsider now.
Yes.
And so she kind of tries to interact with her old friends again. And it seems like she does have a good time doing it. Her friends kind of help her with that. But there's still this sense of like she's an other. She, you know what I mean? She's
Yeah.
like, you
Well,
know,
honestly, what's sad is I feel like the teenagers are more accepting than
for
the
sure,
adults.
for sure.
Like, her friend was genuinely basically just trying to ignore the fact that she's going to die and was
Right.
like, you know, let's go party and blah, blah, blah.
She was like, let me just pretend like nothing's wrong for my friend in
Yeah.
her last final months.
Yes.
But there is a moment where she's just like, I can't pretend. I
Yeah.
might not see you.
And so, and you know, even when they're at the party, she meets a boy who also is bit.
Right,
And
right.
he's going to die.
Yeah.
And they kind of talk about their feelings and stuff. And you're like, that's believable.
Yeah.
And it almost just felt like a metaphor for like people with cancer.
Or, yeah, people who are just, it could even be further than a disease-based thing. It's people who feel like they're an outsider in the
Yeah.
community, something beyond their control.
And you have like the 2 cops that keep showing up where one is very understanding, like, you know, like just give the dad time to like process what's happening, stop being such an
Right.
asshole to him. But then the other cop's like, no, we need to kill her, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you try stopping me, I'm gonna kill you too.
And I honestly, as frustrating as it is to see that one cop character be so rude and belligerent to Arnold Schwarzenegger and his wife or his daughter at this time, it's so interesting because you as a like if you were in a community and there were people who basically as soon as they turn, you're in danger now. It's so interesting thought to be like, I'm scared to have these people in
Yeah.
the community. You know what I mean? Like my son could turn and then I'm bit like the other character, and so it's like
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it really does make you think.
I mean, it was interesting where they didn't do that bullshit in this movie. His wife was like your daughter is like literally turning, either get rid of her, like take her to the hospital so they can put her out of her misery, or I'm leaving.
Well, yeah, and she was like, she was trying to be so comforting and nice to him because she knew what he was dealing with.
Yes.
But she was also like, we have to be responsible. That
Yeah.
other lady who let her kids turn and run around and bite other people,
Yeah.
we have to be responsible and make sure we're not one of those
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, because her husband and her kid had turned, and she kept them, but then they broke out and killed her as well, and
Yeah.
then all of them got loose.
Yeah, and killed. Oh, I think they almost killed other people. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone actually got
Yeah.
killed, but so this movie does definitely make you think.
Yeah, well, and they do a whole thing too where he's friends with one of the head doctors, and even the doctor's like, yeah, I kind of fiddled with her paper because I think it would be better for you to take her home and you kill her, like, as you know, shoot her in the face,
Right.
than have her be put down in the hospital, because he's like,
Well, then he even had that drug. He was like, if I had to do this,
That's
I
what
would
I'm-
say shoot. Her
that's what I'm
rather
saying,
than to
because
die,
he
yeah.
he literally tells him like, yeah, where they send the infected to the hospitals to die, he was like, I've heard it's not peaceful, it's
Yeah.
horrifying.
Yeah.
And that one kid was like, they put us all in the same pen, like whether you're just infected or you're about to turn. He was like,
Right,
they
yeah.
put us just all in a room, and you're like, good God,
You're
that's like
this is like a comment too on like other things,
yeah, like healthcare and
healthcare, or just like my mind always went to the elderly too, where it's like sometimes people who are like unable to take care of themselves, they're put in an area where it's like people who are
Yeah.
like really needing other types of help,
hmm
and so it's like it just makes you think like
Yeah.
crazy. Like you're like, wow, this is a world where you would think that it would be easier than a zombie apocalypse where everyone's running around getting bit. It's like feels so much more complicated
Yeah.
because there's so many different like.
well, there's so much
feelings.
red tape and bureaucracy now on it.
Right.
You know, like
And there's so much of like someone gets bit, and it's not like, oh, you have 2 seconds to deal with, like that would almost be easier than like, oh, we have 6 months to spend with each
Yeah.
other before.
yeah, well, 6 months, but by like month 3, you're basically gonna be like
Right.
trying to attack me.
Yeah. And another really sad. I would probably never watch this movie again because kind of like Cargo, it's just so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But I guess this whole thing's been a spoiler, but Arnold Schwarzenegger is never able to actually do it for his daughter.
No, even at the end when he like is like, I'm going to, and like literally has a shotgun in his lap, he can't do it.
And there's literally a fake out where it looks like she's about to bite his neck, and
Yeah.
he's like, I'm just gonna let it happen.
Yeah.
Because he can't do it. The daughter actually is the one who has to kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know
well, in
another
her
phrase,
last
has to like have the balls
Yeah.
to kill herself.
Well, you think Arnold's asleep,
right.
but it's almost implied that he wasn't asleep, but he was like content that like, I would rather die, like my daughter kill me than I
Right.
suffer with killing my
Yeah,
daughter.
yeah.
But then his daughter, you know, with like the last literal bit of humanity, it was like, okay, goes up on the roof.
Yeah,
jump
and
off.
she like went down and she's like, my dad cannot do this. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Pretty much. It's
And
very
so,
sad.
yeah, I mean, you're right. It is like Cargo where you're like, this is just so depressing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like filmed very like almost black and whitish. It's very bleak. Arnold doesn't talk much, and you're really just like, God, this is just so miserable.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it sucks. But I didn't hate it at all.
I didn't hate it.
Again, just
There's
like
few people I would recommend this movie to, especially if you're looking for a zombie movie. Like I said, you're not gonna want to recommend this one because
Yeah.
this doesn't feel like a zombie movie. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you know anyone, you know, who's like suffering with cancer or something right now, you probably wouldn't want to watch
This
this.
would be very sad.
Yeah.
I mean, unless somebody wants to like work through something by watching it.
True,
Like,
I
there's
guess,
a
yeah,
lot of
there is always
interesting
that.
emotions to feel through this movie.
Yeah.
But
it was nice to see Arnold in a movie that wasn't just like stupid action movie.
Right.
I was like, oh wow, he's just playing like gruff dad.
Right.
Okay.
He like knocks out that one cop, I think.
Yeah,
at one
yeah.
point,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this might be the first one that was kind of tough because I like both for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
You know? But Overlord, I've rewatched many times. Maggie, I don't plan on rewatching.
Now, here's my question. Which one do you think feels more like a zombie movie? Because I think neither one
Maggie.
of these... Okay, I was going to say, I don't think either one of these feel really zombie-like, like a zombie world or anything, but Overlord almost feels less zombie-like than Maggie.
Yeah, I mean, Maggie had, again, we were in the post-apocalyptic world and got to see more of, like, the stuff, and, like, there were zombies on screen and stuff.
Yeah.
So
should it win over Overlord? I think in general Overlord's a better movie.
Yeah, I'd say Overlord's a better movie, but I would say Maggie fits the criteria of a zombie movie. So I'd say Maggie.
Okay.
Alrighty, so the next round, Night Eats the World, and 28 years later, you only put 28 years.
Oops.
So 28 years later is obviously the more mainstream one. Night Eats the World, I honestly, again, I don't really think I've really heard anyone talk about this movie.
Just like a lot of like zombie movie lists.
Just like Alive, I just don't hear people going, "Oh, Night Eats the World." You know, I like that zombie movie, but it's a French movie, which that might be why. You know, I know a lot of people where they just they can't be bothered to read subtitles and they don't like foreign movies for whatever reason. But Night Eats the World.
This movie is slower too. If you're like someone who doesn't like slower movies, it might be kind of hard to sit through.
It's slower, but it's again one of those movies where you go, is this more about something else with zombies as a background? Because
it is,
you know, it's like Cloverfield where it starts with like, you know, kind of a party and this and that, and then it gets to what the thing is really about. So, you know, in this movie, he's at a party of his like ex-girlfriends. He's like, man, I just want my stuff. Oh my God. And then he like, I don't know, gets drunk, locks himself in one of her rooms, wakes up, and, you know, oh, zombie apocalypse started.
Yeah.
But it's like slowly his journey of, like, he already was kind of alone when the movie started, as we saw, because his girlfriend left him for someone else.
Yeah.
And he's like, whatever, you know.
They set it up good. He shows up to a crowded party, and he still is just, he seems so alone in it.
Yep. And then now he truly is alone, and he's, you know, having to figure out, like, you know, from staying in his room to checking out other rooms to then locking down the entire apartment complex and then figuring out, like, okay, well, do I stay here or what? And, you know, he starts, like, making each room its own thing, and he's, like, you know, tapping on music where you're like, okay, he's kind of going crazy because he keeps having nightmares, too, that while he's in bed, zombies are going to break in, run through his door before he can, like, react. They're going to kill him.
Which that is like the most normal thing I've ever seen in any zombie movie.
Yes.
Like you would have nightmares every night.
Yeah, just staring at the door like at any time they're gonna break in.
Right.
And so then when it plays out again, you're like, oh, he's dreaming again. Except this time he shoots, and you're like, wait, what? And you're like, oh, it's not a dream.
Right.
And he actually shoots, you know, I would say a looter, just another survivor, and he's, you know, like, oh my God, I'm sorry, and trying to patch her up, taking out the shotgun pellets and stuff, because he has got like a double barrel, and then, you know, you realize he's like, oh, like, I don't have to be alone anymore, you know, this, that, and the other, we're kind of hanging out. And then, I mean, I didn't really see it coming because, you know, again, it's a fictional movie, so 28 Days did the same thing. Like, he got shot in the freaking gut and he lived, but they do a whole thing where, you know, it was a hallucination the whole time. And when he had shot the girl through the door, she actually died, but he imagined he saved her.
Right.
And so he had basically just been imagining her for like literally like the next month or two.
Right.
And then goes back to see her dead body to kind of like think like, oh, yep, I killed her. Okay, yep, I'm crazy.
This movie feels very like purposeful. Like everything you see in this movie is like, oh, this is for the greater meaning of what they're trying to convey of like isolation.
Yeah, like, and I just felt like I do feel like it kind of goes on a little too long.
It does.
But
I agree.
it's like his descent into just like hardcore isolation and just like how it's driving him nuts.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember the end that well.
He decides to leave, basically.
That's what it was.
So it's very interesting too, because he gets to this point where he's like, "Fuck it all," and he's like about to burn everything.
That's right. Yeah,
and
yeah.
He kind of like was like, maybe I shouldn't do this.
That's right. He snaps out of it.
It kind of gets decided for him because zombies have snuck in.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. He is like, you know, what's the point?
Yeah,
And so yeah, he's
like,
basically standing there about to burn himself with everything, and then kind of snaps out of it. And it's like, wait a minute,
right?
I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And yeah, then the zombies break in. And he's literally like
he's
scrambling.
Left with no choice of like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he just jumps to the next building.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very sad. I mean, some scenes that really stick out for me is like when he finds the couple in the room below that are dead. It's extremely sad, and it's like, I guess they like killed themselves or something.
No, well, what happened is because a shot goes through the floor and almost hits him like this way, and he's like, what? So he starts digging, like the floorboards open, and he sees that there's a body sit in a chair with like a shirt over its face with a bullet hole, and then there's a guy sitting, you know, near it who had killed himself. And so what it was
so
is
like killed his wife
yes, and you know, he's just like, wow, you know, oh my god.
It's very sad. He like wraps them up and he takes them somewhere. I think he gets them out of the building.
I think he like throws them off the roof.
Yeah.
But then there's also like one of the rooms he's trying to clear out. It's a zombie dad, mom, and daughter, and he has to just sit there and he's like, boop, boop, boop.
Yeah. And then there's a scene with the cat where he really wants to keep the cat, but the cat kind of like lashes out against him because it's scared, you know.
Yeah.
And so he kind of is like, fuck this cat, angrily like kind of throws it like out, and then it kind of gets killed basically.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I think it gets killed. It may have survived, but there's like a moment of his like aggression towards the cat, like, don't you want to stay with me, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like you can tell like he just wants some form of something.
He gets to the point too where he locks a zombie in the like
in the elevator and talks to it like every day.
Yeah. So he's like, it's fully like from all angles he's just like so alone that he's just like reaching out and like you know, wanting to be with someone. And
I mean, it's definitely a movie I could see myself watching again.
For sure.
You know, I haven't looked on Amazon, but I could see, you know, I'd probably buy it. I own a physical copy. It was very unique.
It's not like a friend party movie. It's like you sit and pay attention and like.
Well, I would almost watch this and Alive as like a double feature.
For sure. Even though Alive is it has a different vibe to it.
Yes, I would say it is depressing as well, but less. Because in Alive,
for sure,
he actually meets someone and it's like, you know, their adventure.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just like, nah, it's literally just you.
Alive is way more enjoyable, but
yeah,
Alive kind of doesn't take it far enough to where this one does, where it's like, no, he's alone. Like, he's got to survive by himself.
This whole movie is basically the first, like, 20 minutes of Alive.
Right, yeah, that's true. Very good, though.
Yeah, no, very good. I'd recommend. And 28 years later, which is a much more newer movie.
Was it this year
it came out in June, I think, of this year.
I liked it.
Yeah, overall, not bad. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you know, it's not as good as 28 Days Later, but...
that's what I was literally about to say.
as its own movie, it's interesting enough. I was just frustrated with, like... Because, you know, I don't even really view it as a sequel to 28 Days Later, because why? Why would I? It basically has nothing to do with that movie.
Right.
It's
same world, same universe, I guess.
Yeah, but it's like... You could literally watch this and be like, "Oh, it's just a zombie movie."
It's
you know, it's been 30 years since the zombie apocalypse started, but I liked the idea of it's a remote village, like off this weird water canal, and they found a way to live like it's, you know, the 1800s, whatever.
Right.
And they have hunting parties that go out to the mainland to search for stuff.
Yeah, I really liked how they set up that world, because basically those people are safe because every day the water.
Yeah, at certain times.
Protects them.
Yeah. And even when the water is enough to walk, it's still up to your knees.
Right.
And so zombies will, you know, kind of be like,
Normal zombies.
yeah, normal zombies, because this movie also introduces the alpha zombies, which, you know, you'd probably go, okay, sure, within 30 years, the zombies have evolved to, you know, have like a hierarchy,
Right.
but the alphas are like 8 feet tall.
It is slightly unbelievable. Like, how is this happening?
Well, you're supposed to believe that they've evolved now, where they kind of can like speak to each other, like,
right.
and have like kids and stuff, and you're like, wait, what? Like, huh? You know, I know everyone's like, you know, the dad character was so well done because like those are real emotions, but I was just like, I don't know. I guess I've never been in a situation again where my spouse has brain cancer and, you know, has dementia, where, you know, I wouldn't know, I guess, but, you know, you're kind of like, God, the dad's just kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
Kind of a dickhead, because he's like trying to be there for his kid, but he's also kind of like really aggressive,
Yeah.
like punching holes in the walls and stuff, where you're like, ew, that's scary. And then he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna cheat on my wife. Where, you know, it's one of those things where you're like, can you not just be like, well, we're not really like married anymore, but like I'll still take care of like my wife. You know what I mean?
Instead, yeah, I'm sure it's just so complicated too, because he's this caregiver to his son and his wife, and I'm sure he probably feels like nobody's taking care of me. You know?
Probably, but you'd think he'd just kind of be like, you know, try to be more like a parent, like even with his son, like, hey, you know, I want to try to explain to you the best way possible, like, your mom is really sick.
Right.
Literally doesn't remember like who I am, who you are, and like I love your mom, but like, you know, I also like would love to like have, you know, whatever.
Be in a relationship,
yeah.
You know, where
yeah.
it's more mutual.
It's the fact that like he didn't really speak to his son, even try to talk to him, and his son is like 12.
Yeah, he's old
where
enough.
he's old enough where you could try your best, even if he doesn't fully understand. You could at least try to explain. Instead, he's just like, or, you know, you caught me having sex with the woman in the alleyway. Oopsie. And
Well,
like,
you know, and it's interesting too, because he seems like such a man who's trying to be a role model to his son, and then that happens, and then he basically realized, like, oh, I fucked up. Like, he's not going to ever see me as a role model or anything.
I mean, and in that aspect, I do like that. He really, like, especially when his son, like, runs away, he's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I really fucked up.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you idiot. Like, duh, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they showed, you know, again, you have the alpha who can control other zombies.
Yeah, my favorite scene is when they're trapped in that house and the alpha zombies are just watching them. I don't know if, maybe they're not all alphas, but...
Well, yeah, it's one alpha with...
like the team,
yeah.
Or the...
I was confused because they kill an alpha, and then you see another alpha, but they look identical.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, why do they... Like, they literally both look like, potentially, you know, I don't know, Polynesian or like Hispanic men that are 8 feet tall with like kind of long curly hair.
Right.
And so I was like, that's why I was confused at first. Like, wait, what? Like, who's?
Same one.
Yeah, I was like, he didn't die, but yeah. You know, the chase scene with the first alpha is intense.
Very
when he's
intense.
chasing them through the water canal thing, and how they have like harpoons to take him down, harpoon guns.
Right. It
like,
takes
damn.
Like a bunch of them.
And then they introduce us to the scientist character. We're kind of like, huh? It's like,
I'm be honest, I don't love
yeah,
that.
well, it's weird because it's like, I like the movie as a whole, you know, because that, like, the one thing I really like about this movie is, like, the style and, like, adding to the lore, how they have the modern day soldiers offshore show up, and then
really like
the
that
kid
part,
is like,
yeah.
what is that? And he's like, a phone? And he's like, I don't know what that is. Like, what is a smartphone? And then he's like, you know, I should have just gone back to working at Amazon delivering. And he's like, what? He was like, you drive a what? Like, and I don't, you know, he's like, I don't understand like what you're talking about.
When he makes fun of the guy's girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what the?
Yeah. But that was nice to see.
It was very interesting. It's like, okay, so the whole world is kind of
still the same. It's just like parts of Northern Europe and Great Britain that are locked down.
Right.
And so you're like, okay, interesting. Which, you know, it sucks because I thought they would do more with that character, and then he dies.
Right.
You know, they kind of abruptly kill the mom, and you're like, oh,
They
Okay.
introduced zombie pregnancy, basically. Well, I don't know.
I mean, that's what it alluded to.
I mean, it's like a zombie pregnancy, but like the baby's not a zombie. The baby's
Yeah.
like human.
That's why I'm like, is the whole point that they're evolving where they can actually have kids? But then another thing is like, at the end of 28 days later, it establishes that the infected are already dying after only like a month or two because they're not eating. They're mindless animals, and so they're just not remembering to eat, so they're
Right.
dying. And so then I go, how are they still here
Right.
28 years later? But then you see them now eating animals.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, hold on. Like, I mean, I know it's like,
It was cool to see the like zombie human herd in the
Yes.
wild.
it was just one of those things that where I'm like, so they still have the rage virus now, but they also eat now.
Right.
And then,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
on-
it kind of conflicts with the first movie
Yes.
a little bit. Okay.
and so I'm like, okay, so now that on top of just having the rage virus, they actually willingly eat.
Yeah.
But this is only the island of Great Britain where I'm like,
Okay. Yeah.
how many animals can there be for you to eat, Because the zombies are constantly out there eating.
True.
So, I guess I give it credit for trying to be a little different. Honestly, some of it reminded me of Army of the Dead with the whole hierarchy and the baby and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's tough because, again,
This is a tough one.
these are two tonally different zombie movies. 28 years later, I would say, like, made use of the zombies. Like, it was a zombie movie. Whereas Night Eats the World is, like, more of, like, an emotional movie about other things that has the zombie apocalypse as the background.
Yeah. That is true. What do you think about the obese crawling zombies in the forest?
Oh, yeah. That was really weird because they all look the same.
Yeah.
And there was this idea where you're like, okay, so they're so fat and dying that they've bloated, I guess. Either they've bloated because they're rotting corpses, or they've eaten so much, because you see them eating earthworms nonstop. So I'm like, so is it they're overweight and fell over their own weight, or they're like dead bloaters?
Yeah.
Because if they're
it's
dead bloaters,
crazy.
eventually, like the gas from your dead bloated body would come out, you just explode. And then they kept kind of showing them one more time later, and I was like, why do they all look the same?
Right.
I don't know. It was just kind of confusing me. It wasn't too bad. Yeah, this is a tough one because
Yeah.
I inherently am not like, oh, 100% this one. I'm just kind of like,
I feel like 28 years later is like, I don't know, it's almost like a survival movie and stuff. And, well, I guess they both are, but The Night Eats the World is like a zombie, like, you're trapped in a zombie world kind of thing. So, I don't know.
well, Night Eats the World is very personal.
Yeah.
It's one guy in one building. 28 years later is like a community of people, and they go to the island and they meet the soldiers, and it's very like,
If we go off of what I enjoyed watching more, it might be The Night Eats the World. But if we go off of what I would watch again quicker, would be 28 years later. Because there's just more to like digest in that one.
that makes, that I would agree with that. I mean, it might be a Maggie and Overlord situation where it's like 28 years later, it has more of the like essence of a zombie movie.
Yeah.
Except when they, at the end, go full 80s cartoon Power Rangers.
I hated that part, but I know it's setting up other movies, but I
I know.
actually hated that.
Well, it's so tonally, like, there was not a hint of that in the movie at all, and it's even edited to look like a Power Rangers show from the 90s,
I thought it was cringe.
and it's
Yeah.
like, I hate that. It's like, I understand it, but that doesn't mean that it works.
Yeah.
And
If you want to do that, add more scenes of those guys training and like getting their footing on the world and like being these kind of characters too.
or at least even just, I mean, I would have even semi accepted that when it showed them as the main Jimmy kid watching TV when the apocalypse started, that he was watching Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And it was literally the intro. So then you could go, okay, I kind of get it. Like, we saw that he was probably a huge mega fan of Power Rangers. And so he created, and, he was a kid when it happened. So he's latched on to the idea that he's going to be his own Power Rangers. Something. Just a little bit. Instead, he was watching Teletubbies. And so I was like, eh.
Well, yeah.
I know.
I'll let you pick because I don't know, actually. These two are kind of... I feel like The Night Eats the World is a better made movie.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I would maybe lean towards that one.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do Night Eats the World. Okay. Round 2.
Here we go.
So we are back on Planet Terror again versus Cooties. Cooties is a zombie movie, I think from like 2016, 2015.
Comedy heavy.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've never heard of it. When I saw that it had Rainn Wilson and Elijah Wood, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Elijah Wood tends to be in a lot of like random ass sci-fi like kind of movies like that, but Cooties is interesting because they do the, almost like Blood Quantum, they do a thing where only kids can be infected, not adults. And you go, okay. And so it's a group of teachers stuck in a school with zombie kids. And for the most part, it's good. Again, it's like it felt like it was trying to be a James Gunn or like, I don't know, almost satirical, but not.
It did feel, it's funny you said it did feel like the same world as Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Something like this would happen.
Well, they had Rainn Wilson in here as like the literal stereotype, like jock coach,
right?
A-hole teacher. And then they have Elijah Wood as this like weird nerd substitute guy. And, they do the whole like, he likes a girl, but she's married to the asshole, Jim.
Are they married or I can't remember.
They're boyfriend girlfriend, but he was going to propose to her that morning, but he's like, I saw the way you laughed at Elijah Wood. It's like,
well, it's really funny because Elijah Wood starts talking shit about Rainn Wilson to the girl who he doesn't realize is dating her, and
she's like, oh, well, that's my boyfriend. And so I kind of was like, this is a bit weird, like the whole like.
There was a gross chicken nugget scene too, where the girl.
Oh, that's the beginning.
Yeah. I was like, wow, we're in for some gross stuff, but it's not that gross, honestly.
No, it wasn't. Honestly, that was probably the grossest scene. It's pretty. I don't know. They have like, the parent shows up to pick up the kid, and it's a mom like on her phone, like blah 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 blah, not paying attention. So the zombie kid comes in, and you see him kill his baby brother, and you're like. You don't.
Oh yeah, they're not really throwing punches.
Yeah, you don't necessarily see it, but you can like hear it and kind of see it a blur, and you're like, "Wow, okay, that's pretty brutal."
It's definitely brutal.
Yeah, I just felt it was just so generic. And at the very end, they're like, let's escape and go to another city, and then they try doing this weird thing where it's like the kid zombies kind of like understand what they're doing. And you're like, just stop, just stop. Yeah. And again, you fell asleep. I was at a point.
It was pretty late.
It was pretty late, but I was also just like.
It was hard. It was not a high energy movie. It's very like funny. People who don't really like horror movies would probably really like it.
It just sucked where I was like, I'm kind of bored with this movie.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, I'd rather watch Planet Terror.
Yep.
So.
Fair enough.
There's that. That might be the fastest round we've done so far. 20 Days Later versus Dead Snow. Well, so we've already said what we need to say about 20 Days Later. Dead Snow is an interesting one because I watched this in middle school, I think. And you had just watched this when we watched it together.
Yes.
But of course, growing up with World at War, Nazi zombies mode in general, zombie games, you go, oh my god, they're finally making a Nazi zombie movie. Super low budget. But filmed in a cool location. I think it's like Norwegian or something. But
I actually thought this movie was better than I thought. Like, it was better than what I thought it was going to be going into it. Because I was like, oh, this is just like a Zombievers level movie.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's actually pretty good. Like.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, they don't overdo anything. Like, it's as simple as college kids in a cabin, random hobo shows up, expositions to the audience. Oh my God, a batch of Nazis defected here, and they had the cursed gold of the townspeople. They never found their bodies. Blah blah blah. And then you go, okay, they've come back to life, and you have basically the main characters in their cabin fighting off zombies, slowly start dying, and then they come out, and they're like trying to escape and get to the car. Pretty standard crew. You've got like two couples, the fat nerd friend who cannot stop talking about movies.
Yeah.
And it's like almost comical, and then
Are you gonna talk about the grossest scene in this movie?
Yeah, I put it in my Letterboxd review, but just the most like
we were like
take
gagging.
yeah
We were like,
the most
"Oh."
just like taking me out of seeing this movie was the fat nerd guy is in an outhouse shitting, and then one of the girls there who's like single is I guess just wasted and is like, I'm gonna go out there, we're gonna bang. And she comes in and he's like, whoa, what are you doing? I'm shitting. And she's like, I don't care. And basically grabs his wiping hand that he just wiped with and just starts sticking his fingers in her mouth. And he's like kind of visibly like, I'm like,
gross.
what the actual fuck is happening in this movie? And of course, they basically die, or the fat guy doesn't die yet, but she does.
Right. This is probably the most bloody and gory movie out of like all the ones we watched. Actually, I thought of one that's more than Dead Alive.
Yeah.
But this is probably
It's
second
pretty
to
gory,
Dead
and
Alive.
there's a lot of chainsawing and decapitations and blood and just like good God, and they don't try to. There's like the head Nazi zombie, but he doesn't talk, doesn't do anything. He's just there. They're just looking for their gold. They have like the random scene where like one of the girls is running, gets knocked out by a zombie. They're like experimenting on her body, like taking her organs out, and she like wakes up while they're doing that.
Oh yeah,
And
that
she's
was
like,
weird.
and just boop, pulls the pin on one of their grenades and blows up. You're like, oh, so the zombies like they're zombies, but not in the sense that they're almost like ghouls.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
they're not
like undead.
yeah,
soldiers
they're not like
or
eating
something.
them. They're like still acting like Nazis and like opening people up and stuff. So you're like,
That's true.
oh, okay. Yeah, but they don't really talk. But
The problem with this movie is that it's going up against 28 Days Later.
Yes.
Which it's not gonna.
yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
a good movie.
yes.
If somebody like we've been saying, this is like a party zombie
Yes.
movie.
if you and your friends want to have a just a zombie movie night, haha he whatever, put this on the list.
Yeah.
But
Especially like if you're teenagers. This
oh
is
my God,
the
yeah,
teenager movie.
you're in high school and you're like, dude,
Yeah.
what? But yes, 28 Days Later is gonna win. Cargo versus Warm Bodies. So we've already talked about Cargo. Warm Bodies is an interesting one because I saw this when it came out
Me
in
too.
theaters. I'm clearly not the target audience for it, even back then.
Who's target audience?
Teenage
I
girls.
was gonna say because I love this
Yeah.
movie.
This movie is so meant for teenage girls, but
That's probably right. I literally went with my sister, who's also a teenage girl, and then my mom, and we all loved it.
yeah. Well, I remember being in the theater. I was by myself, but I would look around, and it was all like teenage couples.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, I'm not the
It's like a
audience for
chick
this
flick
movie.
almost,
Yeah. And even watching it, I was like, it
They
wasn't.
do have cool like
Yeah.
alpha zombies.
Yeah, the
too.
bonies or whatever.
Bonies,
I was
yeah.
like, it's not the worst movie in the world, but it's
it does
still.
have cliches.
Well, it's very like lovey-dovey, and
Yeah.
you're Romeo and Juliet. And I was like,
I think the movie. I don't know. The premise gets a little tired, where it's like, oh, you can cure it with love. Kinda
Yeah.
like- it does get a little tired because it's like a whole movie about it, and it's almost better suited for like a one-off on like a zombie show where it's like one zombie. Gets
well, but you're
cured.
also like, so your boyfriend since the big your boyfriend of like potentially 5 years, it seems like. Yes, you had a couple fights, but he dies and you immediately move on within a week.
It is.
Damn,
Yeah.
you know, with a zombie.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
And she basically just acts like, you're the love of my life, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you had a boyfriend for like
and
6
also,
years.
they are downplaying that he can't communicate for like the first half of their relationship, basically.
Yeah.
Like, so it goes from, I guess he communicates with like
Well, not.
his body.
I mean, he's like
and-
not killing her, and he's
not
kind of
killing
like.
her, but like his body language is communicating, but he's not. They're not having deep conversations.
No.
So.
And of course, you know, when he starts becoming more human, they're like, wow, you're so hot.
Right.
OMG. And she's like, keep this one around. And you're just like, well, what if he wasn't? What if he was more like his buddy, the bald, older, middle-aged guy, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, ew, creep. Get away from me. And so, you know, and I don't remember my name, but it started with an R, and her name's Julie, and you're like, Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Ha, ha, ha.
As much as I like this movie, it's very like, you know.
It's so
Chick
child.
flick,
It's very
childish,
rom-com child. Like, you know, again, because all the other zombies are just like, we saw a picture of you hugging her, and now our hearts are beating. You're
Right. Like, but before y'all were zombies, y'all had whole ass families and stuff, and that.
I know.
didn't,
Yeah,
like,
that didn't re-jog your memory. Also, you've been zombies for what appears to be like 10 to 15 years.
Right.
And you're telling me that, like, nothing, you know, like, I think, you know, Twilight, it's like Twilight.
It is kind of like Twilight, actually. I would watch Warm Bodies before I'd watch Cargo, but Cargo is probably a better movie in general.
That sounds about right. I mean, yeah, I would say Cargo is a much better movie, but Warm Bodies is more for the general audience to be like, ah, fuck yeah, I'll watch that again.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still gonna have to go with Cargo.
Cargo?
Yeah. Okay. Return of the Living Dead versus the girl with all the gifts. So the girl with all the gifts, interesting enough. Again, this is a movie where I think it starts off a lot better than it ends. And they do the whole thing again where it's like, oh my god, some people, like, they have the virus, but they're not zombies,
Right,
you know?
yeah.
But they do it in the worst way where they're like, we found a maternity ward where all the infected babies had eaten out of their mothers' stomachs.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they, like, inherently weren't, like, as long as they're not smelling a human, they act normal.
Right.
But they treat them so horribly, like prisoners. And they're in, like, an underground bunker. And it just quickly becomes, like, oh, the bunker's being overrun. All the human bases are being overrun. What do we do? What do we do? And then it starts becoming like, hey, let's introduce this thing where the infected eventually die. Vines come out of their mouths and sprout pods. And one day, if the pods open, it will infect everyone on Earth and kill them. But then the little girl has
Kind
this...
of Last of Us.
Yeah.
Type.
But it happens so close to the end where you're like, oh, okay. And then the girl is like, I get it now. Like, you know, I'm better than humans because I'm evolved.
Yeah.
Even though the whole movie, the moment she, like, smells a fucking cat, she just goes ballistic and eats it. And then she's a dumbass and is like, let me, you know, activate the pods so they'll infect everyone. And then they try to do this weird fucking thing where there's like one human survivor left in a capsule closed off with their own oxygen, her teacher, and she's teaching the class of zombie like hybrids outside, and you're like, I hate this.
Yeah.
I literally fucking hate that they did
It's
this.
tough because the message that they're like conveying is very interesting. Of like these kids were basically being killed for the greater good
Yes.
of these humans, when in reality this world is now set up for them to thrive. And so it's kind of like this idea
Yes,
of like, you know,
but they were the only rare few born under the most
exactly.
particular conditions
Yeah,
to do that. There may be no other kids like them.
exactly.
So they may have just doomed the entire world with whatever left survivors there were,
Right.
and now it's just these 12 kids.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's interesting.
Mind you, that means they would have killed all life too. What are they gonna eat? Because they were saying like the less they're able to constantly eat, or like they have like some kind of thing, they'll turn. And so I'm like, you moron, in thinking like I just, we're the next evolution. You just killed every living thing on the planet.
Right.
What are you gonna eat? You're gonna die.
Yeah.
So I just hated like, what are you even trying to say, movie?
That's true.
And I 100% would rather rewatch Return of the Living Dead than this movie.
I mean, that's an easy one.
Also, The Girl with All the Gifts, it felt so long.
It was very long.
I was like, Jesus Christ, can we get this over with?
And the thing about this movie too is I'm trying to like remember a part I liked, and there's not that, I don't know. It's kind of interesting when they're like in that bunker and they're like, oh, what's going on with these kids? You don't really know at first, and then you're like, oh man, they're mean to these kids. Like everyone's scared of these kids, and it's kind of interesting, but I don't know. It's not super enjoyable. It's an interesting concept.
I just felt like the ending sucked.
The ending did suck. The ending kind of ruins the vibe of it.
It's like, yeah. Return of the Living Dead. So Yummy is a Bulgarian zombie movie, trying to be, goofy, comedic, but just comes off incredibly repetitive and really annoying because it's, very submissive man with a girlfriend with huge boobs goes to a plastic surgery place so she can get a breast reduction, and it's like, the movie is comically just trying to shit on the guy nonstop, and it gets old really fast, really quick, because it's just like, I don't know, sadistic. They just keep trying, like, they basically just want to cuck him in the movie.
Well, it's like you said earlier when we were like looking at this list. This movie is so weirdly sexual. Like every chance they get, and it's like, I'm tired of this too.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Well, like it's like everything has to constantly be like, even when the older man saves that one girl, and she's just like, let's have sex, and he like whips his dick out, and you're like, okay, this is like, why does it have to be like this? And they keep emphasizing the main guy, his girlfriend's boobs,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, like we get it. But then just because he can't like fight off a zombie one time, his girlfriend just immediately wants to like basically bang this random dude.
Well, she gets really mad at him too because he won't shoot her mother.
Yeah.
And I was like,
and she just keeps calling him like she's like, oh, you're being a baby and blah blah blah. And I'm like, this is so weird. And they just keep like, it's like the movie was like, isn't it so funny that we just keep like dunking on him? I was like, it's not. You're not doing anything else. It's just really weird.
Right.
And I know they had like pretty like violent kills and stuff, but I just felt it was so poorly executed. And of course, I go on Reddit and everyone's like, dude, this movie is so good. If you don't like it, party pooper. I'm like, no, it's all style, no substance.
Right.
Did I enjoy it overall when we watched it? Sure.
It's kind of fun.
It was a fun movie, but I was just like,
about the subplot with the guy and the.
Oh my god, nah.
It was so like.
Well, it's just
why
so.
Why did we add this?
Yes, and then again, it's like trying to be funny because they're like, he had penis surgery, and then oh my god, he accidentally dropped flammable liquid on it, and he's like running around like, oh my god,
right.
And you're just like, what is happening in this movie? Like, you're trying to be so
outrageous.
And, gory and outrageous, and like, ooh, look what we did, and it just comes off like, eh. Especially when you're comparing it to One Cut of the Dead, it's like, it's a no-brainer there. One Cut of the Dead. Oh boy,
You know what's so funny? This is the one movie I feel like on the list other than the other one that this one can beat.
Yeah. Well, so The Clearing, oh my god, what is this guy's name? Liam McIntyre, who, I mean, he's done good stuff. He's voiced JD Phoenix in Gears of War 4 and 5. He was the weather wizard in the Flash TV show. And I think he's in like another game. But this movie, good god, I basically almost didn't even want to sit through this damn movie.
It was a tough one to sit through. It felt like it was like 4 hours long, but it was actually only like an hour and a half.
Yes, and it's like guy. It's starts out guy, his wife, daughter, but he's like super mean to his daughter for no reason. He's just a huge asshole to his daughter.
She's like a Girl Scout, and he's like, "Oh, you think you're a Girl Scout?"
Yeah, and just keeps like making fun of her, and you're like, "Wow, what a dickhead." And so he's like, "Okay, fine, let me go on a little camping trip with my daughter." And then of course the zombie virus starts, but it's like worm zombies, where they're like infesting in the body, and when they get near a host, they burst out of the chest to try to like squirt worms on people. But he wakes up and his daughter's gone, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And basically 90% of the movie is him leaving the RV and then running right back because he realized he can't do it, and constant flashbacks to like these memories of him and his kid. Like the night before, where all of a sudden he's actually nice to her and not a piece of shit for once. Right. And you go, why am I supposed to give a shit? All you've shown us is that you're clearly mean as fuck to your daughter.
Right.
These flashbacks from last night don't mean shit. And you like want to feel sad because there's like a moment where he thinks his daughter's dead and he's about to shoot himself, and you're like, I just don't care. You're just such an asshole. Like,
well, and I do feel for him too, because the daughter is like, she's really sweet, but she's very smart and opinionated, and maybe he's just like,
I don't know. Well, you almost go like, is this like your stepkid? Do you just hate them?
Trouble connecting with her, and so it's like they just like don't communicate well with each other.
But it didn't even seem like he tried to be understanding. He just was so offensive from the beginning.
Right.
No matter what the daughter, even when his wife was like, cut it out, he was like, oh, why? It's like, dude, right. God. And then it's like...
I think a lot of people will relate to, though, like a dad who can't communicate with a young daughter maybe very well.
I just wish, if that's what they were going for, they should have had it where he's genuinely, like, trying and then it's the daughter who's like, ugh, you don't get me.
Right. The wife forces him to go on this camping trip.
Exactly.
And he's like, no, I'm gonna be busy. And she's like, the hell you will be
going. He's like,
he's
like, I've got to drink beers with my buds at the pub. And you're like... Okay.
This movie is so hard to sit through.
So boring.
They try to do this thing like halfway through where he saves this suspicious guy who's wearing a ranger outfit, and it's just like, and it's so obvious from the first second, like, this guy's not a police ranger. He's like,
well, it's like I've seen this trope a million times, and this movie's like from like 2017, 2018. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Yeah, Diary of the Dead.
Well, yeah.
Blood Quantum Maggie. So Blood Quantum is a movie I own, and we actually had to do a recap for it because I remember watching it when it first came out, thought it was pretty good, but then when we thought about it for this list, I realized I don't remember a thing.
I think this movie is kind of trying to do too many things. It's just, there's a lot going on, and sometimes a lot of the stuff is like forgettable.
I mean, the main thing that a lot of people point out about this movie is that it's about Native Americans, in modern day, but the twist is that they are immune to the zombie virus. But, they say white people aren't. I don't know if they really specify it, like, if it's just white people, or is it if it's the assumption, like...
I thought it was everyone who's not Native American, so...
Right? Okay. But they focus mainly that it's only white people coming to the reservation. But so it's
actually, they focus a lot on white women.
Yeah.
As, like, honestly, the perpetrators of being a zombie biting people and also, like, being, like, killed or, like, something.
Yeah, where you're like, what are you trying to say in the movie?
I don't know.
But, you have two brothers. One who's, like, has, like, a white girlfriend and is like, we should be more helpful and be nice to them. But then the other brother's like, nah, F them. Look what they've done to us, for hundreds of years. Like, they deserve this. And so you're like... Okay, I get what they're trying to do.
And truthfully, if they hadn't let any white people in, they would all be okay still.
Yes.
It's really, that's what is their undoing of, like, their empathy towards white people who are not
but again, that the director is trying to say something, and so I'm sitting here kind of like, well, what are you trying, like, what are you saying then?
Yeah.
That it is actually good? Like, no, you should be like, F you, I'm not gonna, like, because we're different and look what you've always done, and so it was just like, again, I get movies can be political and have a message, but it was one of those things where in Blood Quantum, I was like, well, I like that they have the two differing opinions of the brothers.
Yeah, I did too.
But I'm like, what, like...
I feel like they kind of messed up their message a little bit because it's like they were literally just saying like, yeah, white people are bad, but then they were also having this connotation of like, if you think white people are bad, you're the problem. And it was like, but if the white people hadn't been let in, we'd be okay.
Yes.
So it was just like a kind of a muddy conclusion where you're like,
it didn't feel as like, you know, like a different movie would have kind of been like, you know, like, it's not so black and white that like, yes, if you let a white person in, we're fucked.
Right.
You know, there'd be like a you know, they're not all like that, you know, or something. Instead, it really did just feel like, damn, you guys like let in this group of white people and it destroyed your camp.
Yeah, and it's like the brother who was against that, they just like they paint him as like the bad guy.
Yes, a hardcore villain.
He got a point. Like,
yeah,
it's not that he hates all. I think he personally hates all white people, but he's thinking about it in the context of like, we're a group of people who are immune.
Yeah.
We can't allow people who are not immune to come into our group.
Yeah.
And people are like, what the hell is wrong?
Yes.
Like, you're totally evil for doing that. Like, I'm just like, you know?
Yeah, which I do think they, you know, they kind of do explain that where he's like, we don't even have resources to keep taking these people.
Exactly.
And so you are like, oh, you know, and, you know, there is an irony of like, again, it's all fiction, at least the movie, but the idea of like, you know, the history of like how Native Americans have been treated, honestly, in North America, and like the feeling of like, oh, so you know, you guys pushed us to these reservations, and now you're begging to come in because this is the only safe place. Fuck you. Big irony, you know. So I get stuff like that where I was like, okay,
it's definitely a message too about like, you know, there's certain races people think are superior, but in this movie it's like, no.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the biggest minorities in America are the only ones that are able to survive.
Yeah. And, you know, their sense of like community and home that they already had helped, like, again, they already, you know, they were quick to be able to build this like community, and well, like, no, you can't come in.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting movie. I don't know why it's forgettable.
I don't know either, because I mean, I bought it. I usually only buy movies that I enjoy, but like when we were watching the recap, I was like, I literally don't remember. And so I'm thinking, God, like when did we watch it? I mean, whenever it first came out, I guess.
I don't know. This movie is just, it's okay. It's a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they did it the right way, and maybe it wasn't as exciting as we were like, you know, for a zombie movie you would want.
Yeah. Well, I do remember the cover emphasized the brother character because he's got this cool mask and like a spear, and then he barely wears that mask in the movie, and you're like,
yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought there was going to be more of that, but all right.
Now, is it better than Maggie? It's definitely
Again,
more of a zombie movie than Maggie.
Yes, it's more of a traditional zombie movie.
What do you think?
It's weird because I feel like I had better things to say about Maggie than Blood Quantum.
You know what? They're interestingly both movies that have like a very strong statement to make by how they frame the world of this zombie apocalypse, and not to say like one of them has a better message than the other. One of them is more like there's several different messages and you can like interpret it. And this Blood Quantum kind of has one message that the message is a little muddy, but it only has one message really.
Yeah. Well, with Maggie, I feel like I understood what it was trying to be metaphorical and symbolic about.
Right.
With Blood Quantum, I was a little, you know, and again, people might say, oh, well, you don't get it because you're not Native American.
Right.
And that could very well be it. But again, I mean, I didn't have a daughter with cancer or anything, but I felt like I could empathize with that.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I know enough about, you know, a lot of like world history and stuff where I can kind of empathize with people who've suffered and stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe I need to rewatch it and sit down fully, you know, because if we did, whenever we watched last time, it must have been like 5 years ago.
Yeah, this movie has a lot of weird things where it's like the two brothers are shitting on cars passing by, and then the one brother, he doesn't like molest the woman, but he's like kind of coercing her to like have sex with him, and gets his penis or balls bitten off. There's a lot of things in this movie where it's like, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say here?
Yeah.
And it's like almost like maybe weren't consciously thinking of a message to send to, where they were like, this is the overall theme of like,
if I remember correctly, the movie is made by like a Native American like studio or like a director.
Okay.
And that was the big thing about this movie is they were like, hey, look, like they hired Native American actors,
good.
You know,
that's
and
awesome.
yeah, and that's, you know, I really do like. We haven't really talked about like production of movies, so I'm not really going to include it for this, but it's just a little caveat that, you know, it was appreciative to see that because
it's a well-produced movie. I mean, it does kind of remind me of The Walking Dead, like how things look.
Yeah.
It's not super like groundbreaking, but it does look like very high quality, like that kind of stuff you would see.
Yeah. I mean, it, you know, again, it's got good reviews. I don't hate it. Just God, I don't know. Honestly,
I would recommend Blood Quantum to someone watching a zombie movie more than I would Maggie.
Yes, 100%.
And I would actually probably watch Blood Quantum before I would watch Maggie again, because Maggie's so sad.
That's true. But I would almost say Maggie is the better film.
Definitely.
Whereas Blood Quantum is more for the general audience, just like Warm Bodies.
Definitely. Yeah.
But I could see, honestly, I mean, I say that for general audience, but I could see a lot of general audience members watching Blood Quantum and be like,
what the hell?
What the? Wait a minute.
It's an action movie, for sure.
Yeah.
That's like it's like action, tense. Maggie is just like slow and, you know.
It's like a drama.
Drama, thoughtful.
Oh, I guess I'll give it to Blood Quantum.
Okay.
It makes sense. Oh, damn. Now this is a... That's funny. Alive versus Night Eats the World.
I did not do this on purpose.
Man. I mean, honestly. So Alive is very much like Night Eats the World. I think it came out a couple years after, during COVID. And Alive is 100% a COVID metaphor movie.
For sure.
Because the zombie apocalypse happens. He's stuck in his apartment, but he has social media where he's doing like hashtag this, that, and the other, and people are, you know, are like, oh my god, I'm alone, and no, you're not alone, and you see how isolation is already killing him because he's so used to like being on his, like, oh, he's a gamer, but he can't play online anymore because everything's going down, and so he's already depressed because he can't get on his phone to do much. He can't get on his video games. He can't go outside, so he starts feeling the effects really quick. And, you know, you even see, like, how he has a noose hung up, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
And then he happens to see across the way in a different building someone is alive. And he's just like, you know, I think they're, like, doing, like, communicating with each other through, like, binoculars or, like...
something. I can't remember. They have, like, messages. I think,
and then he's like, I'm coming over, and creates, like, a weird grapple gun thing.
Yeah.
And then, so, like, the isolationism is a big part of, I would say, like, the first act. And then, or, like, first to middle act. And then he meets the girl, actually meets her in person. And it's, like, them trying to figure out, like, how they live together now. And, like, their relationship going forward. And
it's
escaping.
Like, really sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's, compared
but it
to...
does have tense moments. It's not just, like, sweet rom-com or anything.
Well,
it's
I mean, when they encounter like that serial killer dude who's like crazy.
Yeah. He's like trying to keep his wife alive or something.
Yeah. I love both.
I do too.
They're both very, very well made. But I'm gonna have to pick Alive because when I think about rewatching them, like Night Eats the World, it's so good and it's so depressing. Alive is such a, like, you know, you could say hopecore movie.
Yeah.
It's very depressing in its start, but then has a hopeful ending.
Yeah.
You know, and you go, because I think at the ending is when they're running on the rooftop, like being chased by like 80 freaking zombies, and then the military shows up and freaking mows them down.
They just barely make it.
Yeah, so you're like, okay, hopecore zombie movie, and it kind of had the more, I don't know, like general reaction of like, you know, oh, like, he was alone, but he's not now. You know, like working together. Like it just had a more like expectable hope feeling than Night Eats the World. Night Eats the World wasn't afraid to just be like, nah, this shit sucks.
Yeah,
That's depressing.
That's true. I feel like Alive too is kind of like, it also talks kind of about how that guy, like, he was kind of isolating himself being a streamer and stuff and not really going out into the real world.
Yeah.
And this almost like experience broke him out of his shell, weirdly enough, where he's like
Yeah.
interacting with this.
Yeah,
woman.
because at first he's like, you know, because he like lives with his mom, I think, or something.
Yeah.
And at first he's kind of like, oh, I love this.
Yeah, he's like,
and he's like
it.
eating snacks and whatever, but then he's immediately like, oh God,
Yeah.
I can't play my video games, you know, blah blah. Dude's just like my home stuff. I'm actually going crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick Alive.
Okay.
But you know, just
it was a hard match.
Yes, just to note that like they are equally good. Alrighty, so round 3. Train to Busan versus Planet Terror. Train to Busan. I think I've only watched this once actually,
Oh,
but
I love this movie.
but it was just so well done that I can remember it all this time because this came out like 2017, something like that. Great zombie movie. Takes place, I mean, basically mostly on a train. I mean, it starts before the train, but it leads up to it.
After.
Yeah, a little bit, but you know, you have the main character who's not perfect. He's not really the hero archetype, whatever. He's kind of like a guy who, you know, failed marriage and isn't there for his kid much. And then the zombie apocalypse happens, and then he meets the guy in the picture behind him. What is his name? Donnie Kim, I think. That guy
who's
who's
like Dom Kim. Or
yeah.
Don Kim
Who?
or something.
What's funny is, as far as I'm aware, the main character from Train to Busan, I haven't really seen him in anything. That guy behind him, the big guy, I see him in everything. Every Korean movie I can think of lately that I've been watching, that guy is always in it. But
oh my god, he's so iconic. What's that movie with where he's a gangster? That was so good.
Yeah, the gangster, the cop, and the devil.
Yeah, that one was
yeah.
so good. I love that movie.
But yeah, Train to Busan, it's got like, it's intense. The zombies are quick. It's bloody. It's gory, but it's got good emotion, good pacing.
I just feel like this movie blows the Planet Terror out of the
Oh
water.
my god, yeah.
It's like so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the people watching this video has probably already seen Train to Busan. If you haven't, for whatever reason, go watch it. And honestly, the prequel anime, Soul Station, it was all right, but you know what? It's like, you know, a prequel. I think it takes place, I think, like a day before the Train to Busan. It's interesting enough. I'd say go watch it too, but yeah, I'm going to pick Train to Busan over Planet Terror.
Oh, yeah.
Night of the Creeps versus 28 Days Later. So, again, very two different movies. Night of the Creeps is a good movie. I really like it.
We kind of talked about this. This one's like, feels barely like a zombie movie, but...
Well, it's like, you know...
Alien.
An alien project gets dumped off an alien ship, and it's a bunch of slugs that kill people, but then control their body to basically be zombie-like. And they spread other slugs to other people to basically turn them into zombies. And then so you have like the nerdy guy and his friend trying to, you know, it's very like almost, again, rom-com-ish. They're trying to get the girl.
That's true.
During prom, you know, because they're nerds and they don't ever get the girl. And then this whole...
There's like a frat guy that has the craziest unibrow ever.
Yeah. And they're really, you know, emphasizing... Like, what, you know, am I going to get the girl by the end of the night? Blah, blah, blah. But then you have, like, a side plot where it's Tom Adkins, and he was, like, a young cop or something, like, 30 years ago, and there was, like, a guy beheading people with an axe. And I can't remember why he gets brought up again, because he either thinks it's happening again or something. He, like, killed the guy and hid the body.
Yeah.
Something like that. I can't fully remember. But I remember, you know, it builds the characters up enough. It's your very 80s movie.
Yeah.
At the end, it takes place in the sorority or the frat house, whatever, and they're trying to survive from the zombies. I can't remember how they beat the zombies.
I don't either.
But it also has, the weirdest ending where you're almost like, is this, like, a cliffhanger ending? Because the alien ship shows back up and, like, right over the town. But then it ends, and you're like, oh.
Huh?
Okay. Well, we never got
Night
to
of the
see.
Creeps 2.
Yeah, I never got a sequel, so okay. But of course, comparing to 20 Days Later, I'm gonna pick 20 Days Later. Night of the Creeps
Yeah.
is good. It's a great
It's
80s movie time, but it ain't gonna beat 28 Days Later. Dawn of the Dead 1978 versus Cargo. So, Dawn of the Dead, classic original movie. It's been remade. It's been, parodied, spoofed, whatever. Very.
It's like a classic.
Oh yeah, literally a classic. I would say one of George Romero's best, and the messaging about rampant consumerism and stuff is great. My biggest problem with the movie, as we've both said, is that it's way too long.
Way too long.
I mean, ungodly. It's like, wow.
And I hate that for this movie because this movie is so good, and it's like it doesn't almost even feel like a zombie movie. It's like an apocalypse, like end of the world movie, and you're like locked in a mall. And
it feels real where you're like, you almost feel like you're not watching a movie. You're just watching like live footage of like people what they would be doing
in a mall.
But that's what sucks because the movie feels so long. But you're like, wow, they're actually also not being stupid. Like they're like, hey, when we go out, like we're doing this. We follow each other's like rules and we do everything safe. And we're gonna go here and do that.
Yeah.
And
the actors do such a great job. It's honest. It looks great. I love older movies, honestly, but so it looks so good, and it's like fun to watch because it doesn't feel stressful. Really, there are moments obviously that feel stressful, but a lot of it is just like kind of a fun movie.
Yeah, I mean, a complaint I do have about this movie is, it's basically just kind of like their day to day, and them kind of starting to lose their shit a little bit, but then right at the end, like the last 15 minutes, they're like, oh my god, human enemies, and they're wreaking havoc and blah blah blah. Like it just started feeling kind of rushed. Where it would have been kind of nice if they set it up more towards the middle or the beginning of the movie of like, hey, there was a guy in here that we shot and killed, or like a group of people,
right.
and it turns out that they're really, in relation to the bikers at the end because they're like, where's our buddies?
Yeah.
And you could even had it where our main characters killed them solely because subconsciously they want all the stuff in the mall for themselves.
Yeah.
So it goes back to like hoarding and consumerism and choosing things over people. I just felt it was kind of out of place to randomly start having human enemies the last bit, and it being so like fast paced and quick when everything else was not that.
Yeah, I agree.
But the effects were good, the acting's good, the set design is great. I mean, I think they must have filmed in a real mall.
Yeah.
Because no way was this just like a set.
In this movie, I love the hordes of zombies just like walking around the mall.
Yeah.
And they have to kind of like circumvent them. I love that part.
Well, but it was like, they're slow zombies. They stay that way. They're literally like, woo, woo, running past zombies, and the zombies are like, and they're just like, woo.
Yeah, that's true.
There was not one bit where you're like, wait, why are the zombies all of a sudden like running?
Well, they're like stumbling past the.
Yeah. One, and I think at some point the guy doesn't even have like a weapon. He just goes like, and the zombies fall. Yeah. You're like, wow, that's really easy.
Personally, I'm gonna pick the Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I would pick Dawn of the Dead over Cargo because as much as I like Cargo, Dawn of the Dead also focuses on a lot of interpersonal things while being not as depressing. Oh boy. Well, I already know which one I'm gonna pick, but
this one.
Shaun of the Dead versus Return of the Living Dead. Now, the bias is that I have watched Shaun of the Dead, I would say, very well near when it came out. Just an amazing, and I hate comedy movies. But Shaun of the Dead, talk about a movie that can both have style, substance. You care about characters. They make you hate some, like some. They have their own like pros and cons, and you just go, wow, like what a great, just well-paced movie. Great production, sound design. Edgar Wright. I mean, I have a love for Edgar Wright's movies because he just has such a cool style. Like even watching Baby Driver, he has
That's
a
true.
very distinctive style
Yeah.
that's just so enjoyable, and it doesn't fail here. So many people copy Edgar Wright's style because it works. There's a lot of fast-paced edits for simple things like flushing a toilet or using a toothbrush. Um, but like the character Sean, where he's just this dumb idiot, like retail worker that everyone makes fun of, thinks he's like, a dumbass. He basically keeps ignoring his girlfriend because he'd rather just go drink and play video games. And he's, him and his best bud since like they were kids. It's just like it's mainly like them two, but they live with a third roommate who's a huge asshole. Kind of rightfully so, considering how they act. But
yeah.
They have moments of like that dry British humor. It's just great. But then there's like so emotional scenes, like when his mom is a zombie and he's just like crying and having a shooter. You're like,
Yeah.
I cannot believe that 20 minutes ago this movie had like a joke about whatever.
Yeah.
And so he's so good at, almost like James Gunn. He's very good at executing emotional scenes and comedy scenes and melding them together. I'm gonna pick Shaun of the Dead over Return of the Living Dead. Shaun of the Dead is an absolute masterpiece of a classic.
Oh my god.
Can't get over it.
Nice.
I love this picture you found for 28 Weeks Later where it's like 144p.
I know, I'm sorry. I could not find any good ones.
It almost looks like it's supposed to be like a GIF.
Sorry.
28 Weeks Later, not a bad movie. Very different from 28 Days Later, but it can stand, again, just like 28 Years Later, it can basically stand as its own movie. The zombie virus has been contained somewhat, where I think all of London has basically been quarantined, but, this is the most that's convenient movie. They say London is quarantined, and then two kids are able to escape so easy, and no one's watching, no one's reporting it. There's apparently no, cameras.
Well, old Hawkeye, he saw the kids escape.
Yeah,
so
and he's like,
we'll see what goes on.
Yeah, he's like, where you going, little lost puppies? Like, no, report it in, be like, hey.
He's like, I'll just see what you
Yeah,
get up to.
because they also are like, yeah, we leave dead bodies in the street, and it didn't seem like their original house, the two kids, was that far away if they're walking to it. And I'm like, you're telling me the military was like, let's bring people back, but we haven't fully checked all the houses that are right outside of base, And then the intro to 28 Weeks Later is amazing. It's probably the best part of the movie.
It is.
And as far as I'm aware, that was made by Danny Boyle and not the director of 28 Weeks Later. That's why tonally it's so different. But
God, talk about that first part of that movie is probably the most stressful
zombie
movie I've ever, like, just that scene is like, it like makes your adrenaline go. You're like, oh my god, how the hell is he gonna get out of this?
It's so stressful. Yeah. It's so well done, and the In a House in a Heartbeat plays classic 28 Days Later music. But then it just gets so convenient where it's like he thinks his wife's dead. She was bitten but didn't die, but she can still infect people. So she's brought into base, but there's no guards watching her. I think they know that's his wife. I mean, even if they don't.
Well, they must know because they locked up his kids. Remember? His kids get locked up, and they're like...
Oh, I just thought they got... Oh, yeah, true. But then it's like they don't take away his pass that can just get him to any part of the building. There's no guards there.
Yeah.
There's no cameras, nothing. I'm like, this is the most... It's like because they say it's the U.S. military, too, so I'm like... It's like you're trying to say like the U.S. military is that inept, which, if you're trying to say that...
For sure what they're saying.
Sure, but it's like... That's convenient. No guards for this infected woman who isn't a zombie.
Yeah.
Okay, that's convenient.
I love the part where the main commander guy is like telling that nurse or the doctor lady like, "What are you so scared of?" And then it like everything she's worried about happens.
And even with that, the moment like the zombies get out, they push everyone into a dark room that has multiple doors. They don't guard all the doors, and then they go, oh my god, the zombies
It's
are
like
out.
a logistics nightmare of them being like, we're gonna shuffle everyone into a like unguarded parking
Yes,
lot that's like
and that has multiple ways out that we're
Yeah.
not gonna look at.
they had like doors just open.
Yeah.
For the
And so I'm like, this is the most that's convenient and borderline stupid things you could do in a movie.
right.
And then of course they just nuke the city, and you're like,
Okay.
all right. And they almost like try to hint at like government cover up because they're like, kill all the survivors. It doesn't matter. I'm like, shouldn't you want to keep them alive?
Yeah.
What? It's like not really making sense to me.
It's kind of cool when they're in the like what is that? It's like a mall or a bus station, and they're like it's all dark, and they're trying to like get
Oh
through.
yeah, they're in like the
It's very
baseball
spooky.
field. Yeah. Yeah, with the night vision. That is pretty cool. But then it just like it also like the two kids make it with the helicopter pilot. They leave, and then the next scene is like the crashed helicopter, and you're like,
Yeah.
what happened? What the
That's
what?
a lot.
And then it's like Paris, France, and it shows the infected. And you're like, oh, okay. But then we know by 28 years later that it didn't do much. And so you're just like,
That's true.
all
What do you think?
right. I'm gonna do One Cut of the Dead.
Yeah.
100%. Zombieland versus Diary of the Dead. So Zombieland is another Blu-ray I've basically owned since it came out on Blu-ray when I was in middle school. I used to religiously watch this movie all the time. So even though I haven't seen it in recent times in a long time, it's ingrained in my head.
I've only seen this movie like once or twice. I had a friend in high school who's obsessed with this movie.
Yeah.
But it's so like Napoleon Dynamite coded.
Yes, it's very like quirky 2000s humor and
Yeah.
trying to be like meme material because I just remember so many people watching this movie and being like Twinkie it's like okay because they're like look his character just wants a Twinkie.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And you're like, of course when I watched this and I was like 13 I was like now I'm like this is so dumb.
You're like, wow, this is classic
Yeah.
cinema.
So again, even though I used to watch all the time, it's not like I think I did rewatch it maybe a year ago by myself. I think like when you were gone, I was like, whatever. I
So
haven't.
this is like a battle royale of your old favorites.
Yes, yeah. I would say Zombieland is more of an enjoyable movie than Diary of the Dead.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mean I like either one.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, Brain Dead / Dead Alive. It's because it's got technically two different names based off, which country you're in versus Blood Quantum. I'm already going to pick Brain Dead over Blood Quantum, but that's because Brain Dead is just so... Oh, also, Peter Jackson made this movie. Mr. Peter Jackson, who made Lord of the Rings, made this.
I hate to admit this because I think after we watched this movie, I said I'll never watch this again because it was so gross. Like, I basically can't really eat vanilla pudding anymore.
Yeah.
After watching this movie is way better than Blood Quantum. It's just like crazy.
Well, and
New
it's not
experience.
inherently even trying to be like comedic. It's like slapstick.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird because it's like you would think it'd be stupid and annoying, but it works. It's ultra violent, ultra gory, ultra cartoonish. Like literally, like the uncle, like the fat uncle
I know.
with like the bolo tie, but he's like Australian, and then
He's just like a piece of shit.
yeah, but then he's like, I have kidney stones or something.
Damn, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's something. It's so weird, and he like likes this girl, but then like his mom is a creep, and he's like a doofus.
I did forget that this was a zombie movie though.
Yeah,
I thought this was something else because it's like
but then like the zombies start having sex and have like that
Yeah.
weird creepy baby.
oh my I forgot
Remember?
about that.
Yeah.
This movie has a lot going on.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know if this is just like how New Zealand people like, film.
It is like a normal day in New Zealand.
Yeah, right. Or or there's just like a young Peter Jackson in New Zealand in 1990 is like, oh, I'm about to make the craziest shit ever that we've never seen here.
Right. He's like, I got an idea.
Because the beginning they're in Skull Island when they find the weird rat, which Skull Island
Or
is,
I thought it was a monkey.
or yeah, some kind of weird monkey thing.
Yeah.
But Skull Island is where Kong is, and so you're like, That's awfully a weird
Why is
connection.
there a connection?
But then Peter Jackson made King Kong in 2005.
Yeah.
And so you're like, damn, I think bro just really likes King Kong. But yes, Brain Dead, Dead Alive, 100% over Blood Quantum. Well, that doesn't make sense. This is 28 years versus...
Oh, my bad. That should say Alive.
Okay, yeah. Alive versus the Dawn of the Dead remake. So the Dawn of the Dead remake, I do like a lot. But I'll tell you, because it's funny, it's Zack Snyder. It's very, very early 2000s. So very.
It's a fun movie.
And whereas the original is very, I would say, not safe, but very calm.
And it's super long.
Yeah, and very just like, I don't know, mature.
Mature.
This is very erratic, fast-paced, and very obscene.
Yeah.
And so they're almost so different that I would say they're completely different, which they are. But when I think of Alive and Dawn of the Dead remake, Alive is a modern movie with zombies that was able to be, emotional and have a nice plot and pace without having to rely on just like cool slow-mo shotgun scenes shooting zombies in the face.
Yeah.
So I would rather do Alive.
Alive.
But I do own Dawn of the Dead remake, and from time to time, it is a nice watch. It has a very nostalgic early 2000s vibe.
It's fun,
yeah,
for sure.
I don't mind. Alright, so we have Train to Busan versus 28 Days Later. And honestly, here's where it starts getting into just my personal biases and stuff, because I like both, and I would honestly basically say both are on par with each other, and one is not greater than the other one. The one thing I'll still give 28 Days Later, a little bit more for, just a tiny bit, is that it just has that filming where it just feels so real and genuine.
This one is so hard. I feel like these are actually the two best movies.
Yes.
Going head to head.
Yes. But 28 Days Later, I mean, again, it's a product of its time, but it had that guerrilla filmmaking, and just everything was shot so perfectly. But I also just grew up with 28 Days Later, and I love it. I mean, on top of it being a great movie, it's hard for me to not pick it.
Right.
But just because I pick it does not mean Train to Busan is terrible, noticeably worse. It's just I'm having to pick one of the two, and I'm going to pick 20 Days Later. But Train to Busan is still amazing. Dawn of the Dead versus Shaun of the Dead. I'm going to have to pick Shaun of the Dead. I'm thinking now of rewatch and things I liked. Shaun of the Dead isn't overly long. If anything, it kind of just gets everything. It's scene after scene after scene. As much as I love Dawn of the Dead, again, it's a bit too long, and they introduced the human bad guys a little too late. So, Shaun of the Dead. One Cut of the Dead versus Zombieland. We've talked about both. I'm picking One Cut of the Dead.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah. Brain Dead or Alive. Oh, man. It's tough because
I think Alive, because Brain Dead doesn't seem like a zombie movie. It's like a demon reanimator movie. Kind of.
Well, I mean, it's from an infected monkey.
Right.
But when I think of rewatches, you are right. As much as I love how zany and gross Brain Dead is,
it is so disgusting.
It's. I think rewatching it enough times, I'd be like, okay, I'm actually kind of grossed out.
They overdo the goo and everything.
Everything is
out,
yeah, everything's
and
pretty
I'm just
gooey.
like, oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Alive. Outpost Black Sun versus Army of the Dead. So I've not actually spoken about either one of these. Outpost Black Sun was just a random DVD we found at Vintage Stock. And
yeah.
Honestly, I don't remember much. Basically, Nazi zombies in a old World War II base. There's also some spy thriller stuff. Very, very forgettable. Cheap effects. Nah. Army of the Dead. I watched it when it came out. It's alright. I like the idea of a heist crew having to go into a zombie apocalypse, not New Vegas, Las Vegas, to get money out of a vault. And for the most part, it was like kind of cool. But then they do like a zombie hierarchy where there's a queen zombie and a king, and he rides like a horse. And he got her pregnant, and they're like expecting a baby, and I'm like, wait, what the hell is happening? And then they kill the queen, and then the king gets all mad, and so he tries to kidnap one of the crew members to impregnate her, and you're like, okay,
Lord.
Zack Snyder, I've had enough. Please stop. And again, it just feels like it keeps going, and then they have the weirdest scene in this movie where they're in the hallway to the vault, and they start noticing there's dead humans, like who have been there for a long time because they're skeletons, but they're wearing the same thing that the crew is wearing.
Oh.
Same armor, same patches, where they're like, is this us? Like, have we been here before? And it's never explored besides that. But they set it up almost that like they're like they're stuck in a time loop.
Okay.
And that they've been here before and have died. But it's just this like 10-second scene, and then they don't talk about it ever again.
So it's not like hinting at y'all are like the second group to come through and try to do this?
So that's what I thought. But then it's like the literal like one of the guys like, that's like my necklace. Why is that guy wearing it?
Yeah.
And then he's almost like, have we been here before? And you're like, can you stop, Zack Snyder? Jesus Christ. Like, you're doing enough. And so it's like, sure, it's a generic, fine enough zombie movie, but I didn't care to watch it again. And so it sucks having to pick between these two, because I'm like, which one would I rather watch? Which I guess I would rather watch Army of the Dead. Fine.
Okay.
Round 5, 1. So we have for round 5, One Cut of the Dead versus Alive. And for this
one's hard.
Yeah, I think I'm still going to pick One Cut of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
Because it was just, and here's what sucks though, is One Cut of the Dead, again, isn't technically really a zombie movie, but it was just so well done with zombies technically in it, that I still can't get over how I feel. How we went into it and I was like, this shit sucks. But then realizing what it is, I was like, oh.
That's true.
Damn.
I agree.
But we're getting to a point also, it does not mean the other movie is bad.
For sure.
We've already established these are good movies. Okay, this 28 Days Later. Alright, so we're on round 5, the final round, but part 2. We have Shaun of the Dead versus 28 Days Later, which sucks because I genuinely like watching both of them multiple times.
It's funny how this is so easy for me, though.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, for me, it's not.
It's like, heck, I want to watch 28 Days Later tonight.
Yeah. It sucks because in my head, I mean, I know for a fact I would rather watch Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, my.
But,
28 Days Later is so good.
It is, but I just feel like Shaun of the Dead, it's like...
Think about it. He wakes up in the hospital.
I know, but I remember even when we watched 28 Days Later that you're like, it's too stressful.
That's
too much.
This one is stressful too, though. There's
it's stressful,
everywhere.
but like, you know, I don't know. It just, I can watch Shaun of the Dead and like from beginning to the end, it's like, okay, good, you know, because even at the end when you're like, damn, like they're talking about, you know, I'm gonna kill you and then kill myself, but then the army comes in and, you know, kills all the zombies, and you're like, okay, and it kind of has like a bittersweet ending where it's like how they've integrated zombies into modern day life, where they like push shopping carts and stuff like that. He's gonna do Shaun of the Dead.
What? No! Is this for real happening?
We should have had a whole nother system where it's your tally and my tally.
Yeah, because dang old Shaun of the Dead would not be here.
Yep.
Final round.
Yep. Final round. 5-3, which is One Cut of the Dead versus Shaun of the Dead. And unfortunately, it's going to be too easy to pick, which is Shaun of the Dead.
What the hell? This is an upset.
Clear. I mean, I've owned Shaun of the Dead on, I think, DVD and Blu-ray. I've rewatched it 100%, at least over 50 times. it's just such a classic zombie movie to me. It's got, I don't know, it's just got that British humor that I love from watching like Doctor Who, and it's got, you know, scary zombies. It's got enough action. Just these relatable characters, and I don't know. That, you know, I mean, there's some personal bias, obviously, but I mean, good luck finding someone who's like Shaun of the Dead. That movie sucks ass. That's a terrible movie.
Okay, it does not.
Good luck.
Suck, but it's just like you literally picked that over 28 days later. That's so crazy to me.
I had to, Kiki. I had to. You know.
You didn't have to.
You know. I really had to. Oh my! Do you agree with my picks?
No, Kiki, tell him.
You don't agree with my picks? Okay.
She's like, I hate Shaun of the Dead.
All right, I get it.
See?
I get it.
But yeah, I guess that's it. The winner, Shaun
The
of the
winner
Dead.
is Shaun of the Dead. But let's kind of, you know, we should have done like the winner, but then like top 5, because I mean, it's basically Shaun of the Dead, 28 Days Later, One Cut of the Dead, and Train to Busan.
Oh, for sure.
Those are like
Alive, honorable mention.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, shit, do top 10, or just be like from all the movies are listed from worst or best to worst. But
what do you think the worst movie was in your opinion? Because I already know what mine is.
I mean, I would say honestly, the Black Sun Outpost, or
really.
I'm trying.
I was gonna say The Dead Don't Die. That one, I remember that.
Oh,
one. That's like the hardest one to get through.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, I would say The Dead Don't Die probably is the worst one, because it just pissed me off with how pretentious it was trying to be, and like, what is this? Is this a zombie? Like, what are you doing?
It was literally the 3rd movie in our marathon.
Yep.
And after we finished watching it, I almost told you we're not doing this
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
We cannot do this.
Well, and then the audacity to be like, they're like, you ready? We're gonna go out of here, and they just like die, and then the Mortician Samurai shows up and I guess she's an alien. The alien ship comes. You're like, stop, okay? You shouldn't have been allowed to make a movie.
Okay, this might be a hard question. Which world of zombies would you be the most scared for to live in? Like the worst one. What's the worst one? I feel like the 28 Days Later ones, they're so fast and scary. World War Z, there's so many of them.
Well, so 28 Days, again, what 28 Days Later set up is that they're already dying after like 2 months because they're not eating. With World War Z, it didn't really show enough for us to see if that's what happens as well. But yeah, with World War Z, it's scary because they're like a hive mind. It's always like 10 to 20 of them just dead sprinting.
Right.
And they're just there to rip you apart. And you're like, good God, that's scary. Whereas with 28 Days Later, it's like, I mean, it's scary how fast they turn. But in World War Z, what's another weird thing is 1 second, they turn in 20 seconds. 1 minute, the guy's like, I saw a zombie turn in 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And you're like, so which one is it?
Right, that's true.
Like, what?
And in that world, too, it's like a little fleck of blood gets on any part of your body and you turn. I was like,
yes.
How is that not everyone's infected?
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about movies like Reanimator and stuff? Is that a zombie movie, you think? Or that
Yeah, it's like, I would almost say it's like zombie adjacent.
Yeah.
You know, because in Reanimator, it's like, it's almost like Frankenstein, where it's like he's reanimates the cat,
right,
and then he does the human. I can't remember if the human reanimator in the movie tries to eat people or just attack them.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but I would almost say Reanimator is zombie adjacent.
Okay. Because I remember we purposely didn't add that.
Yeah, because it's too much like.
We were looking at a lot of lists and like Like that Pontypool movie that I think
Yeah,
like.
which I love Pontypool, but it's like you could say it's zombies, but it's in the most weirdest freaking way, where they're like, "You're a zombie if you understand words." So you know how you don't get infected? Stop understanding words. And it's like, what? Like, all right, I guess, sure.
Another movie that you and me, I think we liked it a lot, but they're calling it a zombie movie, which I think it's a demon movie, is The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
I 100% would not call that a...
She gets possessed.
It's literally
like
demons.
Reanimated.
Yeah,
but
well, there's like a demon in the mortuary or whatever.
I feel like some people's definition of zombie is like dead come back to life. That's like,
yeah,
you know,
even though they ignore like it's coming back because it's being possessed by a demon.
Right. Yeah, zombie. There's just so many zombie movies. It would be crazy to watch every single one, and
it gets tiresome. I mean, it's definitely made me think like we might just go back to just new horror movies, because trying to find a theme, it's kind of miserable. Because I almost was like, God, I don't want to watch zombie movies anymore.
Yeah.
I want to watch something else, Because we were looking through movies on Prime, and I'm like, that looks interesting.
Yeah, there was one that I actually did want to watch, and it was Zombie for Sale.
Oh, yeah, the Korean one.
The Korean one where it's like, it's like a pharmaceutical company experiment, and he turns into a zombie, but it's like turning into a zombie for a little bit is actually beneficial to your aging.
Makes you young.
It makes you look really good and healthy, and then after a while then you get the bad effects. But it just seemed like a really funny choice.
Well, remember there was that other movie from like the 80s that we were going to watch too, that zombie adjacent.
Yes.
It was like Deadland or something. It had the dumbest name.
It did.
But it looked like classic 80s movie.
Yeah, what was that? That one's, we got to watch that one.
Yeah.
We can find it.
I mean, I guess that's it for this video though, for now.
Yeah.
I'm curious, with the movies listed, whoever's watching, how it would have ended for you, what your top movie would have been, your top 5, or, which picks I made that you strongly disagree with. So
I'll be commenting below about Shaun of the Dead.
It's going to be like 3 or 4 alt accounts, and I'm like, wait a minute. You're like, fuck you. I'm like, all right, my bad. But, I guess until next time, that is going to be it. I appreciate you watching. I know this video is not as long as it was last year, but I know it's still quite a while. So for anyone who's stuck till the very end, thank you very much. I'm out.